Hello, everybody, and welcome to Chapter 2, Session 7 of the Imris Saga. Back with everybody now. Get to the main bulk of the game. Already we've had problems, so hopefully this continues to be as interesting of a session as it has been thus far.
During the intermission, we'll be solely discussing the intersection of race and colonialism in modern Australian politics. Joining us now, I'm so sorry, please continue.
You guys, the stream misses like it ranges between NPR and stand-up improv on our breaks. And I always think that I should just leave us unmuted and not tell anybody.
I do have one criticism of the sentence you just said, Sean, and it's that you called Australian politics modern.
This is fair. When flying to Australia, it is customary to set your watch back 30 to 50 years.
I think nowadays you still should bring an arming sword with you just in case a duel occurs, you know?
Mm-hmm. It won't be with the human, it will be with some kind of kangaroo. But
I always do.
But if you're traveling from the US, shouldn't you set your clock forward at least 20 years?
Depends where from the US.
Depends where from the US.
A minimum of 10 years, but you really got to get in the range there.
Yeah, we're in the middle of the depression of the early previous century.
Y'all are playing catch up. That's awesome.
Still figuring out if women can vote there, I figure.
I think people are still figuring out if there's a point to voting. When everyone is equally shit. Anyway.
This is true.
But
we all find a safe refuge here in D&D. On that note.
Says the man who tortured me and Jack yesterday.
I was going to say, between yesterday's emotional manipulation and torture, how many... I don't know, we didn't come in with the intention of making tragic backstories, but, oh my god, parental abuse and abandonment, fucking conscription and enslavement, goddamn sick family members, last goodbyes.
Hey man,
I'm so sorry.
Hold on. It's not Will's last goodbye.
You guys just give me enough rope to hang you with. Okay, it's not my fault.
I tried to give you enough rope.
Will has to be sending his mother every day now.
I'm sorry, we talked about Shibari earlier before we came onto the stream, so that was topical, and not just for the sake of King.
Every week, Sean tries to run a seminar, and we all say no. And Sean starts it anyway, and then we all have to say no.
I'm sorry, I'm a white guy in my mid-20s. I see the opportunity for a podcast. I gotta take it, man. Like, it's a quarter-life crisis.
The beard is part of you.
I'm glad y'all laughed at that, because that was either really funny or...
It's like a biological drive for you.
Yeah. No. I would agree with that.
I'm so sorry, Andrew. I will shut up for the next 5 minutes.
No, it's a good segue. So, quick recap of last session. We actually played yesterday, for those of you who might have missed it. And we did Will and Sulveran's sessions, both of which were a little bit shorter. Mainly because they didn't involve any combat, which always means that, it can run through a bit quicker. Will took Kala and Killa and using the teleportation circle into Afghan went back home, traveling first to Twinport, way at the eastern edge of this continent, and then heading just about a day's north to Breaker's Hill, where their mother and father, the blacksmith and baker, reside. Will's mother, of course, is sick. They have a long-time sickness that hasn't been able to be cured by, even mid-tier clerical magic. Certainly not by the local healers. And they have kind of slowly been wasting away due to this, the Delving Dyers is the name. But they had a very lovely time. Will helped their mother reopen the bakery for that day that they were there. And Kala and Killa elected to stay behind, while Will got teleported over to Sulveran and Uba using the warp anchor that you guys had retrieved from the Royal Treasury in Talosana. Once with them, That group, along with the Elkar teachers that Sulveran had requested of the Suthana and wagons filled with trade goods, made their way up to the very peaks of the core mountains, where the air was frozen and the grounds were covered with snow, meeting with Sulveran's Gathite tribe. It was kind of, I guess, revealed a little bit, or a little bit more insight into what happened when Sulveran left. It seems that their close friend had died to this monster, some sort of demon, the tribe thinks. And shortly thereafter is when Sulveran left. However, that monster had continued to attack different Gathite tribes. And in the wake of these attacks, the Fallen were seen come back to life. Not zombies or skeletons or even ghosts. They were flesh and bone, but with glowing purple eyes, still retaining some of their personality, but clearly not control. There was also a madness spreading around, very similar, likely the very same thing that was afflicting Pelagon when you met them. But thanks to Sulveran, these issues were starting to be resolved as the clerics that you brought with you began the process of healing everybody. Sulveran met with the chieftain of the tribe, and their sort of limbo status was very officially set into stone. And in the next couple days, people do start referring to you as Sulveran the Half-Exile. Not to your face, but, you know, you Will and Uba might catch this every once in a while. Okay. That's basically where we ended with those sessions. After you also met with young Caro, a very, very old Gathite who had kind of taken over your role, along with Maraveth, this younger Gathite who was missing an eye and had a bit of a lame hand, missing some fingers, who would have apprenticed to you had you not left, you think, or was starting that process. So you did not think that this was going to come to pass, but they eventually followed in your footsteps anyways. They gave to you Kalash's Alpenstock, which they managed to find sometime after you had left, which seems to have gained some magical properties of its own. And I guess I'll start right now with that. So Will had identified that for you, and I've already messaged you what it does, but do you want me to tell everybody? Will would know. But we can also hide it if you like, Charlie.
No, I mean, I think knowing what's going on is, and I think probably Sulveran would mutter about it to Uba at least, and once you tell Uba, everybody will know.
Okay. So this is a +1 Alpenstock, which is, I believe, equivalent. We're doing it equivalent to Warhammer, if I'm remembering correctly. So it's a +1. It has 3 charges, and you can use one of these charges to turn any spell that you cast there that's also of a type other than piercing, slashing, or bludgeoning into cold damage that ignores resistance. You can also feel within the Alpenstock a very comforting presence to you, although it is distant and faint. That's the magic item that you got as it is now.
And given the context, that's not disturbing at all.
No, not at all. But I do want to jump way over back to the seas near Telanfragon, as Alveron has been sailing once more with the Pale Dawn and that crew. You have taken off, and you are now in search of the Blackened Skies with the information that was given to you by the Lady of Petals in Alveron's session. I'm going to have you make a Navigator's Tools check as you are searching the areas, these riverways that you've been told the Blackened Skies is going to take.
Gotcha. Coming right along. And it's just plus the proficiency bonus, correct?
Yes, and then I'll check what it is for you. No. So your total should be +5.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was only for that one session, lads.
9. Okay.
Because you're not using Alveron dice.
The main foundry has not been quick on showing me the dice rolls.
Yeah, that's not
luckily,
Alveron's die. What the hell happened?
dice have been acting a little bit funky for me, anyways. I don't know if that's been the case for anybody else.
Yeah.
So you do. I mean, it's not that hard to get there. You do plot a course. The path that they are taking, as you understand it. Oh. It's been a little bit weird the last couple. Probably need to update it. I know you guys haven't quite loaded into this big ass world map because it's so big. But as far as you know, the Blackened Skies is going to be going kind of down south. If you look up the stream, you can see this. Down south near the big archipelago in the Raised Sea, and then up north, kind of mirroring at that point the same route that you took from Athos, or to Athos from Teleportation.
I'm going to take your word for it just because I can't see
fine.
it on this. Yeah.
This map is the biggest map as well.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
Well, it's quick for the stream because the stream is hard connected to me. Looks like you guys are popping in now, though. So you kind of thinking to just head them off, start to sail southwards, heading straight down, hoping to run into them whenever you can. As you're sailing along, you do pass by many other merchant ships, stuff like that. You know, pay heed to. You might eventually you do get to Athos, not having seen them yet. Make port there for a day or two. In Athos, you do hear as you're kind of just sitting in the tavern, waiting for some more supplies to be brought to your ship. Listening for rumors. You do hear rumors. Blackened Skies had been seen coming around the Ashmount way over in the west and then heading into the Raised Sea, and had been attacking many merchant vessels, though no ships had seen it themselves. Only a couple lucky people who had been able to swim away from the carnage. Usual MO, few, if any, survivors is the story. And people are becoming aware of this. The Blackened Skies previously had been more of a northern thing. So now people are like, this is a slightly new story to this area. So people are kind of talking about it. Taking off from Athos, you head continuing on, hoping to catch them somewhere in this archipelago. I'm going to have either Alveron, you could do it. I think you have pretty good perception, or one of the crew members. So it would be Morgan. Sorry, Morgan or Amaranth could also provide assistance if they have that skill, as well as Lila.
Can you say the skill again?
Perception.
Got it. I do have perception. Do you have it, Mars?
I mean, I have a pretty good perception. I'll gladly take an assist, though,
Okay.
from one of the crew.
Yeah,
Okay.
Amaranth comes and leans over your shoulder.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead and make that roll. With advantage, of course. That would be Sean who's making that roll.
Right.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's okay. Yes, your perception is much higher than the other two's.
Here we go
You have
again.
an advantage.
12.
It's
You
because
have
they're not
advantage.
Alveron's dice.
You do have advantage, that's correct.
Amaranth is like leaning over your shoulder, shaking you slightly. Pay attention.
That's it. Apologies about that.
Casting your gaze about to the seas, you're kind of constantly looking at the prow of this ship, searching for the sails that you know so well, the shape of the ship off in the distance. Eventually, you do come to spy the Blackened Skies some distance away from you, as your heart skips a beat for a moment before hammering in your chest at this realization. You can see their colors flying high, almost defiantly, in the wind as you do so. You're pretty much in the open sea when you see this. Not a lot of places to lay an ambush or anything like that. You're not sure if they've seen you yet, although, like I said, it's pretty open seas, so it's only a matter of time if you stay on your current course.
I mean, and we're heading southerly away from Athos, correct?
At this very moment, you're heading more in a easterly direction. Actually, you've kind of, I can put it up on the map.
Okay.
Shipping. You are right around here at this very moment.
Gotcha. Off the
Right around here.
Oh, up there.
Sorry. Yeah.
Notice. Okay. Okay. By the way, Jack, if you're not playing fair, or do you have?
Yes.
Okay. No, never mind. I was just like, wait, hold on, but never mind. Do I know a way, Andrew? Is there a way that we could make it seem as if we are slack sailed, as if the ship is somehow crippled or not moving as fast as she should be, or is moving shoddily?
Yeah, I would let you make for the ship a deception or stealth check to try to do this.
Okay. Then yeah, I'll try to do that. I will, we'll let the sails not billow as much as they should. We'll put slack in the lines and make it seem as if the ship is just trudging along. Make sure that the crew is aware of the plan. Look like a target. And that's what we're going to do. We're still flying the merchant flag. Jeez, the universe is not in favor of Alveron this session.
And turn the dice off. That's like a bit weird.
Yeah, I also can't access the dice module to change it right now for some reason.
There's a certain chance that I might too. Oh, that kicked me out. Oops. Well, hopefully that didn't kick everybody out.
Don't
I
worry,
am
folks.
still
We're
here.
Doesn't look like
professionals.
it. Oh, I'm just knowing there's a bunch of templates on this map.
Good night, everybody.
Okay, 13. You do your best effort to try to make the ship seem like it's stalled for some reason. There's something wrong with something on the ship. Like you said, you slacken the sails. You're kind of make it look like you're a little bit dead in the water. And to an unobservant eye, it's a decently passable job. Although for you, this is kind of done in a rush, and is perhaps not your best work. But the Blackened Skies seems to either believe it, or if they do see through the trap, are going headlong into it anyways. You could see them approaching you full speed, their sails high up in the winds. How close do you want them to be before you make any move?
Before we make a move, let's I get the dice right. Let's get them. I mean, what flag are they flying? Are they flying their flag?
They're flying
They're
the
under
Blackened Skies flag. Yeah, it's a sort of it's a setting sun, but the sun is black on a flag of white.
Perfect. They're almost to surrender already, folks. We're almost there. And as they get into range, just have us execute as if we're making a turning maneuver. But then that is when I will ask Mrs. Fane to drop all pretense, open up the sides, and give them a broadside, please.
She nods sweetly at you, but then you hear her yelling below deck again. Once she gets down there. Can definitely remember the rules for this one. Do we get a D4 or a D6?
6.
Okay.
We had a
So
D6 year roll.
Okay, so D20 plus a D6 plus 4. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
As
I'm
you
also,
command Fane.
just so you guys know, since it's just the two ships, I'm not going to worry about grid right now. Your speed is such that you will, basically be always able to get broadsides and then one frontal attack as you're turning, assuming that the ships continue to just pass by each other. If you do something fancy, then that might change.
Cool.
Yeah.
Command Fane.
Got a 22.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, nothing. I just got
Yes.
a 22.
That is a hit. And another thing, I did double check some of the rules points. You can broadside as many times as you have actions on either side. That is the way that the system is meant to work. So using all your actions is meant to represent like using the full sides of the all of the guns on that side to shoot as much as possible.
Cool.
Gotcha. So we could technically get 2 broadsides and a frontal in if we prioritize like solely that instead of a turning maneuver or something similar.
That's correct. Or you could just do 4 broadsides if you wanted to.
Do we have the ability right now to drop 4 broadsides on them?
Yes, you do. Let me open up the thing just so I'm not lying.
And granted, I fully understand that whatever we are about to do applies to them as well.
Yes.
But
that's true. You have 3 actions, so you could do 3 broadsides if Alveron wants to push the crew. So again, that's you gain 1 action this turn, but lose 1 the next turn. You could do that.
Okay. All right. Broadside is 1 turn. Frontal is 2, right?
Correct. Yeah. And you have to be quite a bit closer for the front attack.
Gotcha.
Your special one, you have to be like right next to them. But even a normal one, you have to be half the distance away for the short range.
In that case, let's open this up. They're expecting a mercantile vessel. I will ask Mrs. Fane to give them the full broadside treatment as we turn into the wake. and begin our turn with 3 broadsides, please.
Okay.
And hit
So
them.
the other 2 don't get the d6, right? Because that's like my personal skill dice.
Well, but so as you command, Thane, Amaranth is going to look at you, waiting for a command, then glance at the lookout's tower, and then, I guess, surmising that you are putting everything into the attack, is going to go and run and join Morgan at the guns. And she's going to turn to Morgan and say, "After you!"
You are correct, Miss Amaranth.
So if that's the case, then Morgan will do 1, and then you can do the last one.
Yeah.
+1.
Oh, and just so I did tell Sara this, but I'll reiterate it. I did introduce Lila. I had them be mute for that session, but their voice cords have since been fixed. If you want to step in and do anything. Which has been
the
about
pilot.
a week and a half, so that injury is not as bad.
Oh, I
Yeah.
forgot that Lila was here, so if that's the case, maybe I should take away my second roll, and the 3 of us can each do 1.
Yeah. Do you have a quick list of the rules to read over again?
It's actually in Foundry, if you
Okay,
would like to.
yeah.
It's in the journals tab, should have all that stuff.
Thank you. Yep.
I
I just want to have it pulled up.
Sulveran, you should have a bonus as well, I think, right?
Yeah, the ship's +4.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
So that would be an 18.
18. All right, that also hits.
Okay.
But why don't you both of you go ahead and roll, or rather, the 3 of you, Uba, roll damage twice. Once, because the second one is a miss. And then Charlie also roll damage. That is, again,
+2,
1d10
right?
+2. Yeah.
Okay.
For your current ship.
It's a d10 +2?
Yeah.
You said? Okay. Do.
And
Also-
then... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say that Morgan gives Amaranth a high five for that one.
Yeah, Amaranth is just like, and she just like very casually gives Captain Alveron like this like really pathetic salute, and then turns back to the guns.
Jesus. Sara, would you remind me, what are Lila's pronouns?
Oh, she, her is fine. Yeah.
She, her.
Yeah.
Miss Lila, if you would run up the colors, please. And have you
On
run
it,
up
sir.
a lovely flag that was procured for us last session with the Sulfana's crest as well as the blue eye, which Alveron has no idea why it's a blue eye. He just thinks it's really cool that y'all went with
Yeah.
The deck of the Paladin now has exploded into action. Sailors are running about, double checking the rigging, getting ready to make quick actions to change course, or slow down, pick up speed, anything that you need for that. The rigging goes up as off to the side, your broadsides thunder out, smoke coming up onto the deck, momentarily obscuring vision as it does so. The Blackened Skies, you can hear shouts, cheers. The crew over there getting ready. You know that it's only a matter of time before they try to board you. But for now, they take several cannonballs directly into the side of their ship. Some of them do bounce off, not able to penetrate through the wood, but the vast majority of them hit splintering wood and sending it flying down into the ocean below.
Calling out to the crew, especially to first mate. Make sure that we keep enough distance between us and them, that they can't get a boarding party across. We're going to try to do as much damage as we can to them before we allow any attempts at them scurrying across the prow. It's just my guidance.
Yeah, no worries. You give these orders. The Blackened Skies is now fully aware that you are not as dead in the water as you appeared, and they are beginning to angle up to unleash a volley of their own. Real quick. Okay. Despite having taken these 2 broadsides, they still look very, weather capable. This is a bigger ship than your frigate, although they are moving noticeably slower than you are. It is not nearly as quick of a ship. You remember that most of your tactics involved ambushes, leading to quick boardings rather than prolonged kind of naval engagements. They do, however, begin to unleash what guns they have on their sides. So they get 4 actions. I'm just gonna roll.
Ooh.
Yeah, they're bigger, so they got more people. One. Stack roll all kinds of dice.
It's just to me because I'm testing stuff. But I'm sorry that you have to deal with it.
That's okay.
Well, seems they've had a fun turn.
Yeah, I just rolled really well.
Yeah, I'm sure it's fine.
They all hit against no lookout, right? Yes. That's very funny.
Yeah, if you had a lookout, it would have only been 2 hits. So that's 5d10 here. Just gonna roll all in one thing. 5d10.
That +5 is going to be interesting to deal with.
5d10 plus 12. That's not. This is really bad actually for you guys. 48. You immediately are taken by a very quick barrage, unleashing all of their guns immediately, slamming into the side of your ship. Wood flies about here and there. Your mast takes a nick to it, and you're going to be having some trouble after that. A couple of the crew gets injured, so you are now bloodied, quote unquote. The system has a different word for it. I think it's called stressed.
Stressed.
You are stressed. You've been brought below half HP. Well below, actually.
Yeah, seriously, in one hit, yeah.
Yeah, you guys are at 12.
Yeah, seriously. That's.
You do not remember.
Like that, y'all.
You do not remember the Blackened Skies being quite so accurate on the guns in your time. Something about the ship you are now realizing is a bit different. As your crew scrambles to recover, the Blackened Skies does move in closer as it means to. At this point, would you continue to, go in for the boarding, or were you trying to? You are faster than them, so you could try to run away, repair, and then circle back in.
Since we're not really playing on the hex map and everything, just to make sure we have the visualization, is it actually feasible for us to put enough distance between us and them, have Miss Amaranth perform what is it? They'll be able to do what, a D10 plus 2 for the ship? Yeah, that's better than nothing. But they're a much bigger ship than us, so
you guys have just kind of passed by each other, and then the Blackened Skies obviously started to turn around, both so they could get the broadside and so they can come up behind you. It is important to note that if you're running away from them, that does make it a lot harder. Since they're slower, it makes it a lot harder for them to get more broadsides on you as well, because they're not going to be able to catch up in turn, unless they want to just lose you completely.
Gotcha. In that, does ramming cause damage to the ship that does the ramming?
Ramming can cause damage to your ship.
Gotcha.
Let's
avoid that then.
If you don't roll well enough.
Understood. In that case, call out orders. Miss Lila, bring us about and bring us far as we can to their stern as possible. Let's put some distance between them and us. Miss Amaranth,
Alright.
I believe it is you and your crew's turn to shine. And usher you to plug every hole that you can find, praise God. I will push the crew.
Can the other crew members hop in and because I think there's not a roll limit on carpenters. Can we like all help and add our sailing dice?
Yeah, you can do that to ensure that the repair is a success. It won't repair more, however. If that makes sense.
You also
So are you actually taking the come about action?
AC.
Say again, Sarah?
Are you actually taking the come about action?
Is come about... Sorry, I'm
No.
looking for the rules in the thing. It's not...
You guys don't need to rotate.
Okay.
If
probably
you're
full
moving
sail.
away. So
Yeah,
you guys are doing full sail.
That's what I
Yeah.
was assuming.
But also you have disadvantage on all checks.
You do have to expand on.
Unless, can we get someone into the position of... is
bosun?
it boatswain? Yeah, bosun.
Yes, you can. The captain can always do any of the other things as well. So
But
you are
doesn't
more than
that-
welcome to do that.
Doesn't that take away our...
No, that one's
No,
free.
okay.
You can just do that
Okay.
every turn as someone's in it.
Alright,
And
I'll
it's a
take the
persuasion check.
bosun one. You said persuasion?
That's correct. Yep. Persuasion or
Or
intimidation,
intimidation.
as is your preference.
I will go for persuasion. So I will make that to try to make it so we're not stressed.
18, that's still
Okay.
enough. You rally the crew in this moment, kind of bring them together, make sure everybody is moving and understands the gravity of this situation. So we'll do the repair, I think, and then the full sail. So whoever's helping with the carpentry, Mars will be making the roll. But if you are also helping, then you'll grant them their d6.
Oh, I was gonna say Amaranth can do the roll if you'd like instead.
Okay, works for me.
I'll just roll
Yeah.
a d6.
Okay.
So I think what happens is Amaranth goes from my ship to turning to Alveron and just kind of like grabbing Morgan by the shoulder and just like darting downstairs. And she is not near tall enough to pull Morgan around, but she tries anyway. It's more about the and I added the +2 from the thing that she has, the full patch.
Okay.
And
That's +2 to the amount healed, not the.
Okay.
Yeah. That's better in that way.
Morgan
Alright.
tried to help, but I
That's
think
okay.
is probably freaking out a little bit.
14
Didn't do a very good job.
is enough. Sorry, 15 is enough. No, 14 is enough because it's -2 because that 2 should be there, but then +1.
All right.
That is enough. Your repair goes off. Go ahead and roll 1d10 + 4 because of your 2 bonus.
Jesus Christ.
5.
Right.
Aww.
We're in for a fun
It's proving
time, kid.
difficult.
Does the once a combat reroll thing that you have work for any die?
Sure, I'll let you re-roll it on the d10 if you want.
Yeah. You're my best friend.
You got to keep the re-roll though.
No.
Oh dear, I have to keep the reroll. That's good. Now it's 9.
Okay, so
Yeah.
9.
Yeah, you're halfway to not being stressed.
You're no longer my best friend.
Right. Alright, I
All
knew
right.
even in that moment it was a lie.
Just going from besties to worsties in half a moment.
Lila, go ahead and roll the full sail check. So that's same thing. 1d20 + 4 + a d6.
That's fine. Yep. Plus Dex, you said?
No, plus a d6. You all get a d6 to basically everything that you guys are helping out with.
Okay. So you said 1d20 plus 1d6?
+ 4.
4.
That's 1 4.
Okay.
Yeah. Not 4.
Okay. 28.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. The Lila is helping to direct the rigging as they're piloting, and the sails catch wind, and you guys are speeding along, going quite a bit faster than Blackened Skies, who are finishing their turn now and beginning to follow you, although slowly they are losing out on some distance. As they go, they will try to get a front attack on you. They can only do this once. Well, they could do it twice, but they're not going to. Sorry, that should be at disadvantage because it would be long range. Okay. They do miss. The cannonballs just hitting, to the left, to the right of the ship, or bouncing off, not quite able to get a good impact on the Pale Dawn. Though you can't hear what's going on their ship, we kind of zoom over and we see a very gruff, somewhat stereotypical looking pirate captain. He's a bigger man, sort of greasy black hair that's pushed back and underneath a large captain's hat. He's got sort of a greasy smile and a big black beard with just a stroke of white in it. And he's just shouting orders as he does so. They're going to roll full sail as well because they don't want to lose you. Just barely pushing themselves as well. So they are falling behind because they are... you guys are speed 5 naturally. They're only a speed 4. Mm-hmm. So they're one slower than you, even if you're both full sailing. They can only match your speed if they full sail every round. So they do fall a little bit behind, which means that they're still in disadvantage range for their front gun, which they can again only fire twice. What are you guys doing?
Another turn of distance, I say. Try to get another heal in, and then let's say if we can approach on another round from a more advantageous position. We've pretty much got open sea around us, right, Andrew?
Yep. There are some islands like off in the distance you could try to angle to. It would take 3 or so rounds before you were able to get to one of them, though.
Yeah, at this point, let's create some distance and space, heal up from that broadside because that could be crippling, and let's discuss honestly if we're ready to consider a boarding party, because if we take another one of those hits like that, we're going to be dead in the water. And
yeah, they came out swinging.
They came out. I mean, they took out what, 80% of our hit points in one round.
I hit you 4 times, and one of them was a crit.
Yeah, so we're coming up on it's. Yeah, so you just going there as we're speeding along, and Miss Amaranth is doing her best. Pistols loaded and sabers ready.
All right.
Just passing that along to the crew.
Amaranth, go ahead and roll another repair check.
Do I need to make another full sail check as well?
Yes, you will. I think that was my understanding.
Is Alveron still doing the bosun thing?
I will, yes. So I should make that.
Do that first, because that will decide if people have disadvantage or not. It's pretty hard for you to fail that. Yeah, you're good.
A little hard.
I think you have to roll a 1 or a 2.
Yeah.
Slightly better with my helping.
All right. You guys are crushing this repair. You guys are working frantically, patching up the sails, patching up any holes in the ship, trying to get a little bit more in ship shape, and also organizing the crew so they're a bit less scattered. Another 9 points.
You're at exactly half health.
Right.
Does that mean you're stressed if you're at exactly half?
No, it's under, I believe. If that's not the case, I'm going to say that's the case for right now.
Okay.
Yes, less than half. Okay. So you are right at the mark. Go ahead and roll the full sail as well to see if you can distance yourself a little bit.
14.
That is enough. The sails continue to pound forward in the water. You can see some bad weather up on the horizon, which you had noted beforehand, but now might start to be a factor in your sailing. Not bad enough that you are really worried about it in normal circumstances, but in a fight, it can affect things. As you're moving along, the Blackened Skies is catch up.
Can I make a survival roll on the storm to pick up any information on it?
If you want to, yeah.
Okay, because I figure it might be relevant. 18.
It seems to be a spring storm. You've experienced them before in this area. We are moving. It is early spring now on this continent. They tend to be short and quick, but they can have a large downpour, a very rapid downpour.
Do I know if its conditions would favor the smaller ship or the bigger ship?
Totally depends on the circumstances.
Okay.
It's going to affect you both equally. In terms of visibility and stuff like that, it probably helps a fleeing ship more than a chasing ship.
Okay, we'll keep that in mind.
So they're going to full sail, or at least attempt to, which they succeed at. Again, trying their best to keep up with you, not lose more distance than they have been. And they are going to make a round of shots with their front gun as well. But that's at disadvantage again. Anyway. Their front guns just can't seem to hit you, just unable to cross the distance between the two ships. You guys are starting to feel a little bit more confident again. You were shaken, the whole crew was shaken by that initial volley, but your ship is might be smaller, but is clearly better built and faster. So you are no longer stressed. What is the plan? You're now only 2 turns out from that island. If you wanted to try to do something there, it does seem a bit rockier. There might be some spots where your ship can fit through that the Blackened Skies might not be able to, but you don't know. You haven't sailed this area extensively.
Gotcha. So they're bigger, so they have more action points, but we're smaller and more mobile is our main defense here.
Yep.
Let's do that. Let's stay the course. I'll call out, Miss Lila, we're going to be moving into those rocks. Try to steer us between them and see if you can find an area where we might be able to get them caught up on the shore. Hua? Wait, the Navy doesn't use hua. What the hell? I'm sorry.
Yes, let's debate the calls of the Imris Navy.
I went full army, and you never go full army. That's just not... Never supposed to do that. What the hell does the Navy? I don't know. Frickin' that. Not that. Well, I mean, it's the Navy, so you know. Anybody watching? I have Navy family. Some of my best friends are Navy.
Sure.
No, worse. They're blood relations. No. That is to say, friends you can't get rid of. And no, we'll I give Miss Lila the instruction. We're steering towards the shoreline and see if we can't maybe catch a bigger ship on some of these rocks and get them in a precarious position.
Okay.
She nods, and I think, like, for flavor text, she's navigating like where she sees like the birds gathering as an omen. Mostly because birds favor smaller rocks for perches.
Yeah, I like it.
Right, go ahead and do the full sail again. Are you using the other 2 to repair again, or did you want to try to do something else?
Go with the repair. I want Miss Amaranth putting her and her gnomish crews all into this.
All right.
They're dwarvish.
Especially. Oh, I'm so sorry. I did not mean to.
Alveron and his.
I can't tell.
Yeah,
I don't spend a lot of time with Underdark people.
You want me to roll the full sail check first, or do you want them to roll the repair check first?
It doesn't matter as much in this case, so however you guys want to do it.
Dwarves are little and hairy up here. The others
16?
are little and hairy down there.
16. You continue to heading towards these rocks. Keen eyes trying to look out for spots where you are, pretty confident you're going to be able to make it through, but also fairly sure that the Blackened Skies won't be able to attempt the same path. You're going to hit that spot one way or the other on your guys' next round. Go ahead and then do also the repair. So the from Amaranth, the main roll, and then Morgan, the D6.
I should have had this wrote out already since it is the same each time, but... Oh!
Damn, son.
That's not good.
Damn.
You guys find that though your diligent repairs patched up a lot of the worst of these things, causing you a lot of issues, there are pieces that I think you're going to need a bit more time to really fix up, and probably go like outside the ship a little bit, hang down and patch them on that side. Like just doing it all inside in combat is proving somewhat difficult. So you might be able to.
We're not stressed. We got everything.
Figure
We got
something out.
everything below the waterline patched. That's what matters.
That's what matters.
Got
Yeah.
everything below the waterline.
All right, the Blackened Skies continues to pursue you. Alveron, you hear in your head as this all is happening. So that's their full sail. Their full sail fails. So they are falling a little bit behind you. They've sort of lost the wind, and aren't pushing their crew as much as they had been the last 2 turns. They are going to also take another shot. I will actually remember to do the disadvantage, because they are at long range. They miss you. Several of the cannonballs hit the back end of the ship, but boom, boom, bounce off without very much effect, leaving just superficial marks on the Paladin. Alveron, you hear in your head a somewhat familiar feminine voice, Camille, over on the Blackened Skies. You just hear at first laughter. Is that Alveron on that ship? Oh, this is interesting. You can reply to that message if you would like to, but it seems to mostly just be goading.
I have to think. Instead of words, can I just
Blow a raspberry.
I was thinking, actually, Andrew, have you ever almost drowned before?
Like the ship?
No. I mean, have you?
Have I
because
personally ever almost drowned?
There's a sound. There's
On
the sound.
occasion.
I've almost drowned before, personally. And there's this sound that happens when you go under and the water goes up your nose and hits the top of your sinuses at the same time as your ears get flooded, and the pressure tries to equalize, but it can't, and it just feels like this pressure, this cacophony. I want to say that my eyes turn seafoam green, and all she gets back is that thrush of rushing water, and that's all she gets back from that sending.
All right. On your guys' turn, you begin to thread through that needle. What I'm going to have you guys do is, this will be harder than the normal checks that we've been doing. It will be, I think, Lila making this check, and you can use your sailing die for it. You're trying to basically thread through the rocks to find a spot where your ship will fit and the Blackened Skies won't.
Okay. So just D20 plus D6 flat?
+4. Still.
+4.
You still get the crew
Okay.
always.
Okay. Just making sure.
And you can roll with advantage, right?
Yes, you do have 1 day advantage if you need to.
I'm going to keep this.
We're good.
I think
Let's
I'm
keep that.
19 is enough, thanks to it wouldn't have been enough if you had rolled lower on that D6, importantly.
Oh.
Lila, your expert piloting of the ship maneuvers, you kind of have to rapidly flip around as soon as you break out of between a pair of rocks to turn as quickly as possible so that you don't hit one up in front of you, moving at the speeds you are, sliding along and then coming out. You are positive that there's no way in hell the Blackened Skies can replicate that move, and if they attempt it, they're going to hit rocks somewhere.
Is there a chance they still attempt it, though? That's the question.
Maybe.
Does Amaranth get a repair roll on this as well, or no?
If you want, you still have 2. I'm considering that to be taking place in place of a full sail, so you still have an action to use if you would like.
If we could, yeah. If you could get one of your, I'm so sorry. Are they dwarves? I just want to make sure that I don't. Are they? The dwarves, do I have that
Dwarf
right?
comforters.
No,
Doing
they're humans that got bisected and are rolling around on skateboards.
I see, the Pratchett-esque ones, of course. By the way, I do have a story about a legless cat and a skateboard. We'll get to that in the intermission. I like to drop those in there. Just prep everybody.
Ooh,
It's always
let's
nice
see
to
if
hear
you
about
can-
your love life between the
Uh,
sessions.
Okay, first of all, that wasn't my love life.
Uh,
Does it make it worse that it was my father's?
Oh my god.
Okay.
Marisa, roll that other d6, please, because that might
I'm not
make a
necessary
difference.
for this section, right? Like, I could not be here.
It's winding down. You're still having problems with repairing the ship. Like, these issues are just not going to be fixed while you're at full speed sailing away from the Blackened Skies. On their turn,
has a brief moment where she hears, like, beyond the veil of what this conversation is and just drops her hammer.
excuse me, on their turn.
I feel like Alveron is screaming over the sides of the ship. Amaranth, are you on the side of the ship, or is it one of your workers?
Oh, it's totally, like, hanging by her toes, pretty much.
Wow, hanging by her toes. That's impressive. I'm impressed.
Would you attach yourself to the side of the ship, and would you fix the holes in this bloody thing?
In that case, can I use my advantage on this bit?
Sure, if you would like to.
You used your advantage already.
Not today.
Yes, on a damage roll, on a healing roll.
Ooh,
It was
That's
1
true.
originally, and then you made
Yes.
it 5.
That's right.
That's correct.
Oh well.
So as the Blackened Skies goes, they're looking at these rocks. They're not going to attempt it. They might be incredibly reckless, but they're not stupid. They're not going to hurt themselves for no good whatsoever. They are going around these rocks, but that's they have a much slower turning radius than you guys. They are sluggish, so that's going to take them quite a while. You could at this point run away scot-free if you wanted to. That's up to Alveron. Your ship is not in the best of conditions. If they get a good broadside on you like before, you could end up dead in the water.
Crew's combat ability. I know you said that these Elkaran type crews. I know the crew isn't predominantly Elkaran, but crewed by the Elkaran.
It's about half,
Okay.
and then half.
Yeah, they're not excellent boarders, correct? And I haven't had the time or the opportunity to train these people up to be full swordsmen.
They're definitely competent. Like, these are competent sailors. There are some Marines here. They know that against pirates, there's always going to be some hand to hand.
Okay.
In a boarding engagement, the Blackened Skies is probably going to have the numbers on you, but you guys can certainly mix it up with them. Certainly, they are better than any press-ganged people on the Blackened Skies would be at their base level.
Shoot. Okay.
You also know, though, that...
on board?
Sorry, go ahead.
Do we have any mages on board?
Only the people in the party.
So, does anyone have the ability to project their voice a great distance?
Let me double
I don't remember if
check.
that's prestidigitation or what's the...
Thaumaturgy.
Thaumaturgy, yeah.
Thaumaturgy, thank you. Does anyone have thaumaturgy?
Morgan does
I
not, unfortunately.
should. Did it not import rate?
The mute has thaumaturgy. I like it. I know you're no longer a mute, but the projecting the voice.
Listen, when you can't yell at a soldier, being able to make your eyes do like the big scary is much more effective than any screaming. Like,
you have an artificer.
Druids
Could I have
can't,
made you a brass shouting device?
Lila, you wouldn't have thaumaturgy because it's not a druid spell.
Okay, no, you're right. You're right. I was like, didn't import rate. I should have another cantrip, and I was like, I know I took something.
A normal thing on a ship would be a speaking horn, so that you could shout commands from all over the ship. So that would be normal.
Yeah,
but...
you have ways to project your voice if you're trying to talk to the Blackened Skies. They're a bit of a distance away at the moment, but
This is more as we get to closer engagement, because if I can convince the conscripts to fight for their freedom,
yeah, you could
that-
certainly shout over. You
I
have
can
speaking horns.
attempt
I
that.
do have Skywrite.
Say again?
I do have Skywrite.
I don't know that spell. Sara, what is that?
I can
Other
cause
than
up to 10
exactly
words.
what it's
Okay. I can just post it in chat if that's easier.
Yeah, you just
That
go ahead and
might be.
output it.
It is
Yeah.
pretty much what it says on the tin.
Basically, it's a 10-word message in the sky.
Conscripts, you will be pardoned. Fight for us and freedom. Is 10 words exactly. Okay, we're gonna keep that in mind because yeah, stories. All right, cool. I am gonna turn to Lila, and Miss Lila, if you would be so kind as to prepare your Skywrite spell. We have a message for the conscripted crew of the Blackened Skies. And if you would turn us about, can we say, Andrew, that we have like 2 turns of turning, and then let's just barrel right towards the Blackened Skies and follow along their arc. Let's take these 2 turns to heal up as much as we can, and then let's try to get as much speed to a full sail into a ramming action onto them.
Okay. We're not gonna roll
If
it.
we do a ram, are we able to do a frontal as well and get the fire across the deck?
I think ram might be a full action, but let me double check.
Okay.
Do you tell Amaranth that you are going to full ram while she is hanging off the side of the ship?
That might be
I'm
some
gonna get
good
you.
information.
I'm gonna get you back on the ship. I take care of my fucking crew.
Does
Yes.
Alveron want the Skywrite to appear like right now or right before we ran?
No, coming up like the turn before we ram. So it'll be turn, heal, turn, Skywrite, heal, full speed ram.
All right. Well, I can do that.
Ram is it will take your whole turn. It's a lot of damage if you hit. It's your ship's die, so 1d10 plus 2.
Well, whoever wins gets an automatic critical.
Yeah, you automatically critical.
And if we
it's 1d10 plus the number of spaces you've traveled. So for you guys, it would be plus 5, and it will be automatic critical. So it will really be 2d10 plus 5.
Okay, we're gonna run for that. Miss Amaranth, I impress upon you the urgency of getting 2 heals onto the ship, or boarding up as much as you can in the next 2 rounds, and then scuttling yourself aboard and preparing your pistols and arms.
You like an upside down salute from the side of the ship, and you hear grunting as she is like scrambling down the side.
In the
With her
back of
dwarven crew.
Alveron's head, there's this little voice that goes, "You can fix her," and then just no.
Could I make her worse?
Go ahead and make those repair rolls real quick. We'll just do both of them in rapid succession.
Okay. And is anybody still helping me, or is it me?
Morgan will still be helping you. I think though that if the ship is taking on water, she's
That's
probably like actively freaking out, and it's probably not that helpful.
Yeah,
Okay, so that's 1.
Yeah.
Go ahead, roll the d10 plus 2.
Okay. Sorry, I rolled the other, but
That's okay.
Can I help
do
on
not
both
roll,
of
good.
these, or just the one?
You can hop on both because it's 2 separate turns.
Yeah.
The other
Yeah,
one's
not
also
what I
a
expected.
success. So go ahead and roll the same thing again.
man,
6.
these D10s are statistically unlikely. I'm just saying.
Oh, great. So you're now at 39.
Wait, what?
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
We're 39. Oh,
because I healed 9 over 2 turns. Yes.
gotcha. Okay.
It's only 5 below average.
It's just repairing is not as good.
Yeah.
It's
Which
harder to
makes
repair
sense,
in combat than it is to deal damage. Much harder.
So as we come around, then we've got the 2 heals in. We haul Miss Amaranth up on the ship. Of course, we have our Marines on the top deck ready to go. Before I describe exactly how we're going to do this, what has the Blackened Sky been doing? Has they just been following our arc around as we've been coming around the rocks?
Yeah, so they basically, you guys went like this way, and they're now turning back around. They just went and are sweeping like that way. You guys are kind of going to be meeting. If you both turn to broadside, like coming back in, basically in the opposite direction of where you were heading, or you might start to turn that way. Either way, you'll kind of come alongside each other if that's your intent.
Okay. No, I mean we're coming along, and we're going to the way I'm trying to do is like, oh, we're totally coming around for a broadside. Oh, we're totally coming. Nope. Boom, and turn at the last second. Turn that. Oh, we're going for a broadside into coming for a ram. We have Miss Lyra's message in the sky, and I will grab the speaking horn. I will jump onto the prow of the ship, and I will be right there in full view, hanging onto the rigging. I am a target right now. I have put myself as full onto the prow as possible. And I
before you
Okay.
scream your thing, is this on third turn or is this on second turn? Does Amaranth have the time to like scramble up there and provide guidance?
You can give him guidance.
Yeah. So Amaranth squirreled up the side of the ship after you, and briefly, like almost like a slammed into you, pats you on the back. You've got this, Captain, and just like pushes you back on the way up the rigging. And so it's.
Do you want me to make? Do you want me to make the full sail check now as well, Andrew?
Oh, you don't need to make a full sail. This is just the ramming action.
Okay.
Yeah, that takes a whole turn.
I am up on the prow. I am a full target of them, and they can see me. And I think probably at this distance they can see my eyes. I yell through the speaking horn. I am Alveron, a conscript of the Blackened Skies, who escaped the bastard Orthoran. I am here for his head, not yours. Cast them off, conscripts. You shall have a full pardon and a place as free folk on this crew. We are here for Orthoran's heart, and with your help, we will carve it out of his chest.
All right, go ahead and make me a persuasion check. You do have guidance, so that's plus a d4.
Morgan is like furiously scribbling notes while
I
Alveron's
don't
The
overflowing.
D4 is
I
going to help
need it,
here, actually.
but
That'll
I'm
put you
gonna
over.
take it anyways.
Well, you could also, I mean, you have it for like a minute, so you could, use it to dodge any sort of.
DC
gonna
could
be
be a
any
30 to
different-
rebel, though.
Is there going to be any difference between a 29 and a 30, Andrew? I will.
Maybe.
All right.
Yeah. 33, good God.
Just shy of your max possible. Okay. You shout this out. It is having to travel across, so some of it's getting lost, but you're aided by the skyrite kind of. I was going to give you disadvantage, but that's negating that on this persuasion check. You can see there's a moment as all these concepts have been gathered and are basically starting to be they're getting in the process of getting ready to force them to go to the other, to board and fight or die, either by your guys' swords or by their swords, one of those two. You do see a couple of them look about. There's a pause, a moment where a struggle is maybe about to happen. But you guys are still ramming, correct?
Yes, we're going to ram onto their ship and take the deck.
Okay, so what we now do is we're going to roll basically this is imposed hit roll with you guys' hit dice. You have a +5 since you're kind of initiating and moved 5.
Can I give my advantage to this?
Sure.
You are at the helm, so yeah.
Yeah.
We also have the +4 from our ship, correct?
No, this is just just about the size of the ships. And there's some skill, but not as much. They also have a D10. Sorry, you guys have a D10 plus 7. They just get the plus 3 from their stuff.
And then we have We have Sarah's advantage.
Yeah, and you have advantage because Lila is spending their expertise to make sure that this goes off. So I'll roll first, I guess.
Go for it. So we know what we need to beat.
10. Not that hard for you guys with your plus 7, but
we have to get a 4 or higher. You want me to roll it?
Just go for it. You got this, Sarah.
2d20 d1 plus 7. Okay, 2d10 plus 7. D1 plus 7. We rolled a 9 on the first one, so 16.
Okay, 16. You guys do crash into them, hitting the side of their ship. You can go ahead now and roll me 2d10 plus 2 for damage that you're dealing to them.
If you would be so kind, Sarah.
Yeah, I will. Plus 2. 8 damage. Wow, really crazy rolls. Yeah, that is 8 damage.
All right. The ship comes to a sudden as I'll give you guys you can roll a d8 on top of that because I'll let the masthead breathing flame also go off as part of this ram action.
Hell yeah.
All right. An extra 1 damage to 9.
But that has paralytic effects. They can't take actions for a turn, right?
Yes, their ship is partially catching on fire. Alveron, as you are up in the rigging and the thing hits, I need you to make me a wisdom saving throw.
It's always a good thing to hear.
Oh, that's the second time it's like halted on the 1 briefly.
You feel this magic enter into your brain, and you know it's you've experienced this now several times. You know that this is mind affecting magic. It's trying to turn you against yourself, to subvert your own will, and you throw it off you as best you can. You can see in the distance Camille staring daggers at you, and as you ram, you're holding onto the rigging. You can see now below you the Blackened Skies, all a lot of very unfamiliar faces, like all these new people, conscripts, the ever-changing, ever-rotating crew of the Blackened Skies, but also several faces that you know very well, the officers of this ship.
Gotcha.
As you guys hit on, some of the conscripts do begin to fight back against all of these more seasoned pirates, prodding them on with rapiers and scimitars and all manner of other kinds of weaponry. You see both the bosuns, Garrett and Thema, attempting to overturn right back these conscripts and force them to do their stupid job.
Andrew, can I call out a command, or can I have called out a command to my Marines and my sailors not to attack the conscripts unless attacked, to focus on the actual sailors of the Blackened Skies?
Sure. You guys have not technically done a boarding action because that's a thing, but they will have, remembered that when that happens.
Copy.
All right. They're going to make a quick roll to try to reorganize. Get these people back into line. It's not enough though to overturn the overwhelming charisma coming off of Alveron in this moment. You see in the distance Captain Orthoran looking at you, laughing as he does so. Alveron! I had known that we were going to meet you today, I would have prepared something else, a bit more special. How have you been?
Hungry.
Good. I'm afraid it's too early, though, for this engagement. I'm missing a few items that I still need. We'll be leaving shortly. You have no idea what he could be referring to at this moment. As far as you can
I'm
tell,
sorry, I just Obi-Wan.
you've got him on the ropes. As far as you know, like you're up, you don't know how he's going to get out of this. You just rammed him, but he seems very
Also,
confident that he's not in a bad situation at all.
Prepared for this. He knew I was coming, and why is he collecting MacGuffins in preparation of me? What the fuck?
You don't know.
Looking for the One Piece.
Oh my god. Sara. No, you're right though. Is there Oh no, that doesn't really no. How far away from me is he?
I mean, you guys are like rammed. You're in the rigging. He's over there. Yeah, in like bird's eye, probably like 70 feet.
Okay.
If you were to go down the rigging, like run and then jump over, it would be some more distance than that. But if you were to like grab a rope, throw yourself over there, you could get to him in one turn if you really wanted to.
Okay, before I do that though, because that is an option, am I right in assuming that as the ramming ship, because we're already entangled with them having rammed them,
Yeah.
if we drop anchor, they're stuck attached to us, right? Like that further ensnares us both?
They might be able to like shove you off with, poles and stuff like that, just to get loose enough to continue going. And at which point you guys would be anchored in place and they would not be, and so you'd be having to either cut anchor or drag it all the way up. But that is difficult.
What was that, Sarah?
I was gonna say, aren't they paralyzed this next turn though from the weapon?
That doesn't mean they can't move. It just means they can't take actions.
Okay.
Okay, and then is boarding itself an action? Looking at the
boarding basically means that we're no longer doing the ship combat and we are moving to combat.
Right.
But as you guys are doing this, you start to see you guys are kind of you've hit the prow. Your guys are surging forward to get ready because as far as you know, as far as they know, you're going to be boarding them. The conscripts are now starting to be cut down, several of them. Like you see Danis with this big it's not really it's not a great sword in the typical sense. It's almost like a giant oversized machete, but he just like slams it down into the neck / shoulder of one guy, almost bisecting him in half. For everybody else, the officers that you see are kind of directing this. There's on the Blackened Skies, there's a pair of dwarves who are working very much in concert, almost in lockstep. They look similarly enough that they must be related. There's also a towering man, pale skin, really blonde hair that's kind of pulled back up in a bun. He's the one with this like great sword sized machete that's just like hacking into these conscripts. Orthoran obviously is the captain. He's over by the wheel of the ship, which is currently being piloted by a somewhat wispy looking man. A little bit there's like an androgynous quality to them. There, a bit of like a David Bowie almost thing going on. And they are dressed a little bit nicer than everybody else. As you're seeing this, Captain Orthoran waves at you, and your guys are getting ready to board them. The Blackened Skies vanishes. It is no longer in front of you. The whole ship is gone.
Like not illusion type. Like we're actually not.
No, you
we're
actually.
on the random ship.
It's very noticeable because your ship was up against theirs, and then suddenly surges forward again as that competing mass is no longer there. Alveron, you hear in your head a voice say, "Until next time, my boy, we'll be waiting for you. You best be bringing a bit more, though, if you want to take us down." And fades out. You are left on the quiet sea, your crew looking about, flabbergasted as how such a huge object might have just disappeared from in front of them.
I'm gonna make a wisdom save real quick. This is just me. Alveron storms off to his cabin. I'm gonna let the dice decide on that one because Alveron comes out of the rigging, sheaths his rapier, storm like full, no words, eyes alight, slams the door of his cabin behind him, and he doesn't say anything until the door of his cabin is shut. But then in several languages, basically whatever swear words he's learned from Will in the past however long, come out in this rolling tide. Door opens to the cabin. Steps out.
The crew is like just looking about, somewhat bewildered. Like, just the ship is still sailing. Like they're not like letting it crash or anything like that. But they're like doing this job. Like the adrenaline has just like suddenly crashed in this like very immediate moment.
Miss Lila, if you would be so kind as to keep us afloat. Miss Fane, Miss Amaranth, if you could join me, please. Jack, do you have someone who you want to be going at for this?
No, it's alright.
Okay. Just wanted to be sure.
As you call them up and begin to move back to your captain's cabin to have this meeting, to me pops up in your head once again, saying, "Much too bad that we had to be parted again so soon, but I look forward to seeing you in Telantvagon. The captain says he'll be waiting."
I get 20 words.
25.
I get 25 words.
You can say fuck 5 more times.
Yeah.
How many swear words do you know?
Let's make a list,
So-
guys.
I like to joke. I once worked for a Serbian gentleman who he knew only 6 words in English, my name and 5 swear words. And that's about how I'm feeling right now. But shame you had to resort to petty tricks to slip away from us. Telanthagon sounds like a lovely place to put your tongue next to his heart. End.
A little gross, but nice. Yeah, so you enter into the cabin feeling not great. Above board, I just want you to know, this is the better ending of this encounter. There's a version of this where you guys go down.
What happened if we just beat them with cannons outright?
There's no
Like
way.
we had just circled around them.
There's no way.
Yeah, I
No
get the
way.
point.
They've got.
We weren't
stuff.
supposed to win today, is the
Yeah.
feeling I'm getting.
At least we didn't end up on the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah.
But you
I
enter
do
into the cabin.
echo Jack though, poor conscripts, because we convinced them to fight just in time to die.
You convinced them to fight and then at no point did anything.
Yeah, none of them even like made it like ran
That's
to our
really
ship
funny.
or anything. We didn't get any of them off the Blackened Skies. They're just dead.
It's like it also like it just takes no effort for these officers to cut these people down. There's not like a skirmish that they could do anything. It's just like, well, you die now.
Yeah, and like I
very
also
funny.
feel really bad because now like the next time we go against them, there's no way to turn the conscripts against them and leverage that history because they're
All the
Their
ones
dead
who
are
were
still
willing
dripping
just
with blood
got
of their
slaughtered.
mates. Yeah.
Alveron, go ahead and roll me an Arcana, and Morgan as well. You can roll me an Arcana check if you like. I don't think Amaranth has it, but if you do, roll me an Arcana check.
No, Amaranth's whole response
so.
to this situation
Also,
was
we talked about this in between, but
Yes.
I think your character sheet is set up wrong, Marisa.
Yeah, I fixed it. Or at
Okay.
least
I
the
do
skills
have-
and expertise problem.
You don't have expertise in Arcana?
I do not.
Just assume that would be your first choice.
Yeah, they took it in other things.
Yeah, I did fix it, but I didn't pick Arcana. Also,
yeah.
Morgan right now is like torn between like, oh, I should be like very somber right now because Alveron is upset, and also like that was one of the coolest bits of magic that I've ever seen, and is like trying really hard to not just like ignore Alveron and just be like writing this all down. And it also took some effort to drag them away from like where we had rammed their ship. Like they were at the very front, like staring. I'm like, okay, I guess I'll come with you.
pulse. Like while Morgan is smart and wise and kind enough to not do this, Amaranth doesn't, and she just immediately pulls Morgan in. Do you think I could get our ship to do that?
Morgan says, like the idea of that is genuinely exciting to her, but I think she says, maybe, but perhaps we should speak with the captain first and discuss the details later.
Just like immediately follows behind, but she's still like, you can see her just making plans. She looks like that calculus lady.
All right. Bringing you all into the cabin. And Layla, once the crew knows what to do, if you join as well, that makes sense. I just wanted, or Lila, I apologize.
You're good.
But once they're in order, if you join us, that makes sense as well. Alveron is just in his cabin, staring over a set of maps, tracing out with the sextant and running calculations. Andrew, how many days out are we from Thalantagon?
If you make a beeline, you could be there in about 4 days or so, depending on the weather.
Gotcha.
I was gonna say, on her way to the
maybe
cabin,
5.
Lila speaks like 11 languages. She's writing down swear words from all of them for Alveron.
Excellent. I appreciate this.
You sure joined a professional crew.
A professional crew, not necessarily a crew of professionals. Professional crew.
Yeah.
Call you all in. Alveron has undone his scabbard and has it set on the desk. And is just poring over the maps as y'all finally walk in. Let me just check again and see. He's gained composure over himself. And he's once again I will begin with an admission, and when he opens up his eyes are fully seafoam green. That I have no understanding of the arcane beyond a layman. Amongst you, do you have any explanation for what we just saw?
I think that Morgan will shake her head and say, I've certainly seen many types of strange magics over my decades of life, but never anything like this.
It has nothing to do with languages or birds, so Not on my part.
Amaranth doesn't reply. She's just lost in thought.
Are we going to pursue them there now, or are we going to wait?
I believe returning to Philanthrogon is our best bet. Perhaps they will be joining us there. Knowing them, it's a possibility, but answers and allies are in Philanthrogon. Not here. Ms. Lila, if we made a beeline, how many days until we made it to port?
What kind of role would that be, Andrew? Or would I just know?
You would just know. The thing I just
How
said.
many days off?
4, give or take. It might be 3, it might be 5. It depends entirely on the wind.
Bad weather 5, best weather 3, probably 4.
Understood. Do any of you have the ability to complete a sending to someone you've never met in person, if I can act as a conduit?
I don't think any of us are casters of high enough power to do that, sir.
Understood. Then, full sail to Philanthrogon it is.
On that note, Will, how often are you checking in with Alveron and Medea? I know you have been, sending them every so often.
It was going to drop off because of the emotional trauma that Will experienced, and Will was going to check in with the other people in her life. But it feels like maybe it isn't necessary that one of these goes to Alveron. It would have been a while otherwise. But maybe that night.
This is happening. At the end, basically the day before you were probably thinking about leaving the Gathite.
Yeah, I mean, Will's just got a lot of people from her past that she's trying to not be awful to, and is feeling very bad about herself. But yeah, okay, that night, then Will just Alveron just gets in his head a far more friendly mental intrusion of how's everything going? So, Sulveran is definitely one of the most emotive Gathite in this tribe. Also, Uber is not dead. Those are the important things.
How many words do I have? 25?
25.
Pirate ship I was pursuing teleported before we could board. Headed to Philanthrogon. Could use your guidance, Captain. Something is not all right with this.
Will, I mean, even with a 12, and I guess I would have mentioned this to Amaranth as well, you would know that even turning the ship invisible would have been a great feat, but teleporting a whole ship of any size somewhere, a incredibly powerful caster or otherwise a artifact of some significant amount of power would be necessary.
Unusually, Will does a second sending to Alveron. It very rarely comes up that Will is eager enough to respond to cast the spell again. And Alveron immediately gets back. Hard to teleport whole ship. Hard enough to teleport a bunch of people. Maybe ship's magic, a relic. We'll return. Stay safe.
Thank you. Clear skies for your return.
And then we'll also sending to Medea and be like, Alveron's pirate thing is much more interesting and complicated. Make sure you're into Landvagon. See you soon.
Medea will just reply with a simple, as soon as possible, it will be done.
Right. And we kind of zoom over at this moment away from the pale dawn and Alveron's quiet rage to, and sometimes not so quiet, to Will sitting in a tent with Uba, Sulveran, and Sulveran's 4 parents, sharing a meal. They do so. So this is basically where you were as you were doing the same thing now.
We should leave. Probably now to get back to Talanfagon. Alveron's pirate situation has developed. They have a teleporting ship. The pirates, not Alveron.
I think that Uba's gonna just completely ignore the fact that you said a teleporting ship and say, I'm so glad I'm tired of this cold weather, and then pause and say, did you say a teleporting ship?
Will says, yes, a teleporting ship.
Sulveran just looks up from his meal and then looks back at Uba. Very gravely says, "But I thought you were enjoying yourself in my home." Before he's already packing up.
I think Uba looks over at so you said Sulveran's 4 parents are there?
Yeah.
And says, "Oh yes, of course. This is quite the lovely home. It's just cold weather is not the best for kobolds." And then will bustle off, incredibly embarrassed, while Draconic is muttering about the absurd types of magics that they've seen over the past 3 months. And of course, there's a flying or a teleporting ship, because why wouldn't there be?
That isn't the only kind of ship it was going to see that has unusual means of transportation in the future, too.
Sulveran quickly translates for his parents. And
I think if they've been there for a while, Will translate. Will has probably gotten into the mode of saying things in both languages every time. Yeah. I think Will, as we're getting ready to leave, will say to Sulveran, do you have... Karad's probably the closest place, and we could teleport. Do you have a method of traveling there quicker?
Sulveran looks at his parents, and then he looks outside and he says, "You can jump now and again. It is not generally successful." We have 4 clerics here.
Mm-hmm.
We would have talked to them a lot. Would we know anything that they might have at their disposal, provided by the Sultana, that we might be able to take advantage of?
None of them are really capable of casting teleport. They have fairly similar spells to you. They can contact the Sultana.
Yeah,
they might be able. The Sultana might be able to send a wizard to teleport to you guys and then teleport back.
Sulveran's...
No, go ahead.
Sulveran's going to say, I can make it so that difficult terrain does not affect us, but I can only do it for perhaps Uba and myself, and you could, and he just kind of indicates your cloak. He has freedom of movement.
Yeah. On a more mundane level, Sulveran and the tribe do know a lot of entrances that lead down into the Dwarf Road, so you wouldn't have to go sort of over the mountains as much. You could cut through the mountains, so to speak. So that would enable you to get there quicker than, again, just traveling through the mountains would. But the tribe also doesn't have teleport stuff.
Does Karad have a entrance from above, or is that Galmador that I'm thinking of?
Galmador has the entrance from above.
But Karad has a lake that has the
inlet.
How long? Will asks the parents and Sulveran and Gathite how long it would take. Is it a crow that you summon?
Generally, that's generally what they use for communication. Yeah, crows and other carrion birds.
Yeah, how long it would take a crow to fly to Karad?
Arenic will reply. From the bird's point, less than a half day. If you were to make good speed under the mountain, you would reach there before nightfall.
Will thinks about it and says, all right, let's go beneath the ground. I could, if it was further and flying was more of a benefit, I could have gone ahead. But, let's do this instead.
Right.
Looking at Sulveran to, okay that idea.
Sulveran pauses for a far longer moment than that decision requires. Kind of flicking a look at Delmera in particular, and Aranek before he nods very shortly. Let's move out then.
Right. I think on that note, we are going to cut to a quick 15-minute break. We'll say 5 after the hour before we come back. Hope to see you all then. We're over. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Shin 7.
How much of that made it on the stream? That wasn't supposed
You guys
to be
were
there.
muted. I was the one who was talking until just now.
Fantastic.
So you unmuted us just in time to like avoid the whole friends conversation. I see.
I unmuted you at the point where it no longer mattered if you talked over me. People knew that we were back on.
I've never felt so undervalued. Curse you.
Wow.
I'd say bless
I feel
you, but you
insulted.
don't deserve it.
Really,
You should
totally
be.
insulted.
During these times, Sean.
I didn't say I hope it's Rona. I said curse you.
Hey, that's basically the same thing right now.
Yeah, I don't think we have the mental bandwidth for curses here.
That's fair. I did have a witch tell me that she hoped I stepped on a Lego today.
That happened today?
Now that's a curse.
That did happen today. Like, she accompanied it with a GIF and everything.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
Modern
you
witches-
actually.
Do you
I
have
think you're
Lego in your
actually
house?
just gonna have to take her heart out and sacrifice it in some way to undo this curse.
There,
Just
there's
for
a
one
joke in our history to be made about breaking hearts, but I don't know if I want to get into it on this stream.
Why is this not the stuff we talked about during the intermission?
I
That's
don't
what the
know.
intermission is
No,
for.
instead we were talking
I am
about
still
steak
good friends
fingers.
with one of my exes who happens to be a fully practicing witch, and no, it's just fun.
I think we should add an addendum that like this podcast is also partially about Sean's love
No,
life,
I've
you know?
decided, Sean, I'm going to make a podcast and it's just going to be me interviewing you about your life.
I've had a very interesting life up to this point, and I plan to keep. Stop laughing.
And
I
then you met
plan to
us.
And then I met y'all, and I got to share it with you, and y'all got to add to the story. It's wonderful.
Andrew, since I'm
Okay.
back into Lamphagon, is the Blackened Skies hiring?
Okay.
Just like, can I just move to that
Okay.
side of this story?
You're like, I just
Hold
want to
the fuck
swap
up.
sides.
Can I just swap sides? Somewhere in Will's brain, like Will is getting weird images of deep fried steak fingers.
That's the other guy's side. I'm
Alright.
on the purist side.
All right. So Uba, Will, and Sulveran begin to make their way down into the dwarf roads beneath the core mountains. You have to travel a little bit away from the tribe after saying your goodbyes. The Elkar, of course, are going to stay, and Maribeth and young Kara will tell Sulveran that you are welcome to send to them if you want to talk about anything ever. Now that they understand you have that capability.
I'm imagining these sendings. 4 words total.
Gathites, the master of the sending spell. I should just give them all sending. It's a racial ability now. But they only get 5 words instead of 25. So you guys make your way off the mountain peak, descending down until you find a doorway kind of just in the side of the mountain, which you're able to enter through, and then eventually heading downwards get onto the Great Dwarf Road heading up to Karad. And it does take you about 1 full day of travel to get there. You push onwards, eventually arriving at the city. It doesn't take you too long to get to the keep where the teleportation circles are kept. And after quickly paying for the fee, either through how are you paying? Actually, that's a good question. It is 1,000 gold.
So I think that we should use. I thought about this a lot after we talked about it yesterday. We should use money.
Okay. You pay the gold. 1,000.
We're not trying to use our status at all.
No, Will pay the money and look at Uber and decide not to ask for it back because it's inappropriate to ask a lord to pay for something. But hopes that somewhere deep in Uber's psyche, Uber realizes that an equally ranked person just paid for it for them.
Uber does not realize that.
Because that's a nobility flex that Will is just going to start doing to Uber. I'm better nobility.
All right. You teleport yourself to Tel Anfagan, arriving in the Sun District near to the palace. What he's barking at over
And a lot of dogs in the Sun District.
All right. So you don't know when the Blackened Skies is going to arrive. You know, by the time you've gotten there, you have about 2, maybe 3 days until, 2 to 4 days until Alveron makes port. Medea, of course, is already there. They were nearby. But by the time you get in, Medea, would you be at the palace or in Melf's Tower?
I think Medea would
Right,
probably. Yeah, probably in the
right,
compound
order.
back. Yeah, the order.
Okay, that makes sense. So Will, you would probably know that. What are your plans? What are you doing as you are kind of have these couple days that you're reading?
I think immediately Will kind of is like, well, let's all be together for this stuff as much as possible. If Medea has someone to leave in charge. But otherwise, the things that Will really thinks are important to do is tell the Chitana what's happening, tell Melf what's happening, go to the library or the Temple of Sil to start researching ship teleportation, I guess, and just see if there's ever like any record of the ship that can do that.
Okay.
Because knowing the source of that is good. Because if it's a person, that's easier to deal with than if it's the ship can teleport on the whim of its captain.
Okay. You
and I haven't had the ability to send back. If no one has sent a sending to me, I have not been able to communicate the details about missing a few items left to deal with me. So unless
Will
someone has sent
Medea
another sending,
sending every day to Alveron to be like, are you still alive? Have you been ambushed by a ghost ship?
still, I mean, it's essentially still staying the course and then updating you with Captain Orthoran said still needed some items to deal with us. Artifacts, powering teleportation? Question mark. Like things like that. If you did those sendings, Alveron would have provided more information and done his best.
I'm just curious, Marisa, would Morgan have mentioned the thing that they know about Alveron at all to them?
At this point, no.
Okay. I just wanted to double check.
I guess this probably does just count for flavor at this point. Alveron's eyes have been shining since the ship disappeared. He is, at the very least, he hasn't commented on it. It's not clear whether he's aware of it.
He's aware of it because Amaranth definitely commented on it.
If you would have commented on it, he would have demanded a mirror. And
she would have had one. She would have just had like a shiny piece of metal. Like, yeah.
Looking into it and just...
Oh, you didn't know this happened?
Will, the next time you send a sending after that occurs, I'm gonna just... My eyes won't stop glowing. I'm sorry, I'm treating you like WebMD, essentially, but it's like... Eyes glowing? Am I pregnant? No.
Am I pregnant? Am I pregante?
Am I pregante?
Will I am going to roll medicine, but Will also has like noticed this several times and like rolled well, and it's just like just send this back. You're fine. You're just something magical. I thought you knew that already. You do things like bounce through the air. Like, do you not notice when you're doing that?
I'm torn between I'm fast as fuck boy and more. I'm sorry, that mug is adorable. Like, Jack, can I see that? That is the most calming Oh my god, that mug could turn coffee into jasmine tea. That's delightful.
I'm drinking
Anyway.
Coke out.
The platonic ideal of a mug.
That
Yeah.
is the
I
platonic
love these
ideal
mugs,
of
and
a mug.
nobody else likes them this much, so I'm glad you
They're very
enjoyed
cute.
it. So.
I am
Uh,
seriously into that.
I can
Yeah,
think,
no.
honestly, if is Alveron like publicly freaking out about this? Because if so, Morgan will actually take the time to tell you what's going on. But otherwise,
You
it's
probably
probably
were
like
in the room when Amaranth was like, yeah, you're right, they're doing that thing, or however you would have phrased it, Charlie. I don't want to step on you for that, but yeah, fucking, like, probably you were
And being in the
when
same room.
when you demanded the mirror,
okay.
at the very least.
So if
Yeah,
that's
so
the
you were in the
case,
same room when you sent it to.
I don't know that.
No,
Potentially.
because
you
Will
wouldn't
has
be able
to
to hear it, right?
send at some point. Like it's
Yes.
not.
Got
You
it.
guys would not be able to hear either.
But I think that Morgan will kind of like take you aside and say, Alveron, I know you've suddenly become aware of these abilities that you have. I've heard legends and stories of this type of thing before, and it's one of the reasons I was so keen to stay on your ship. It's incredibly rare, but considering that you have a lot happening right now, I'm not sure if you would want to learn the details now or perhaps at a time where we're not trying to fight a teleporting ship.
Alveron just. Who else would like to be in the room right now?
More than anything, Will would like to be there, but that's not on the cards.
Lila is there, but I think she's like in a corner writing down more swear words for Alveron.
Very
And
appreciated.
on to the swear words in Ancient Elvish.
The
Yeah,
hard
yeah.
swear words.
I'm going to walk over to the, the globus that's in the captain's quarters because I'm a motherfucking captain. I have a globus. I'm adding that detail. A bar cart that is contained within a globe, and the top of the globe opens up, and you can.
Ooh.
Yeah, like one of those 1950 things.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Walks over to there, pulls out a very tall bottle of.
He's got the
Oh,
prop.
He goes to grab a
Where
bottle.
did it go?
We got props. That's the kind of budget to expect on the Imris Saga.
Pulls
That's
out
right.
this. Pulls out what is it? One,
Quick
two,
disclaimer:
3.
we are not affiliated with Goslings in any way. This is
I'm-
not a paid promotion.
I'm turning it around.
This is a generic bottle of rum.
Nondescript
We
dark
would like to
rum.
be affiliated with them.
If you would like to sponsor us, please reach out.
We're on board.
But
Very cheap.
this 3 glasses and 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 3 glasses, one for each of you. Alveron just kind of looks, make sure he has the count right, and then 1, 2, 3.
You're not allowed to do that on stage.
Commitment.
Go ahead.
All right. If that's the case, then Morgan is going to kind of guide you towards sitting down and say, Alveron, have you ever heard of the Sea Touched?
Alveron just thinks very seriously, goes through his thoughts. No. Or I guess I should maybe make an Arcana or religion.
You make a religion check.
Religion check.
No.
Absolutely not. Never heard of it once in my life. Ms.
Despite your
Morgan
past
Payne, if you would be
as a
so
cleric.
kind. I was supposed to be a cleric.
So I think that she pauses and kind of thinks about like, oh boy, how am I going to describe this? And she sighs and says, well, sea touched tend to be, persons that are, born with an affinity towards the sea and they share some of its magic. So I'm sure as you are aware, you definitely have an affinity for the sea. But the way that sea touched are created is that it's when the souls of dead sailors are given a second chance at life by Similus. the god of the sea. Instead of moving on to the afterlife, they're given a second chance. And usually these sailors were, young or innocent people when they perished. And this type of essentially reincarnation is so rare that I've never seen anyone that has it in person. I've only heard legends, and I've become rather interested in seeing about your abilities. People that are sea touch tend to get special powers when the sea touched their souls to bring them to a new life. And once you, hopefully not for a long time, lose your life, you'll be judged by Similus and taken to his halls. And then she just kind of sits there and like awkwardly twiddles her fingers, like, yeah. So you're
Exposition.
basically a reincarnated sailor, yeah. With magical
watching,
powers.
This, and as soon as you finish speaking, she just and watches Alveron.
Like a tennis match.
Yeah.
I think she'll also
Whoops.
push the bottle of rum towards you. Give it a little nudge.
Flicks cap off. Takes another drink. Reaches for the mirror and looks into it again. Just looking into my own eyes. Andrew, this is just one of my crew telling me their perspective, what they think I am. When I look into my own eyes in the mirror, when I look into that kind of glowing seafoam green, do I get the feeling they're right? Or do I get any assurance they're right? Should I make an
insight check against yourself? The hardest ones to make.
The hardest of insight checks.
Oh, that was a great roll.
You look into your eyes and hope for some reassurance, some feeling either way to know whether this is true or not. But the only thing reflected black is the slowly, the shimmering seafoam green of your eyes as you study your own face.
I will top off everyone's glass. Lila, I don't know. Are you still writing swear words at this point? Have you touched your rum ration?
I think she's writing more swear words the more rum she drinks. Like she's getting really into it, there's a pace to it.
Sorry.
She believes in being prepared,
To the tune of two of my favorite things, like shits and goddams and oh fucks and oh shitses.
Yeah.
We apologize.
She's very passionate about language.
We hope that Gosling does not revoke their sponsorship of our stream based on the profane language inherent within. We hope that they understand that adult beverages sometimes require adult language. And,
well, also, if you are a purveyor of steak fingers, we will accept that as well.
I'd like to announce my leaving of the Imris Saga, effective immediately.
I would just like...
We will be replacing you with a static image of steak fingers.
I would just like our first stream selves, like when we were all together, to just have seen that last 30-second snippet of this. And what
I told you guys, as soon as we started, I was like, this is going to be a weird session.
Yeah.
Are you going to make us take psychic damage for having seen this?
But see, that's the thing, is if that happened, it's an entirely different campaign because Will was never here. If we have the steak finger sponsorship, Jack never joined us, he left at the start.
In retrospect, instead, Will it's still a bard, but it's just a floating piece of steak fingers following us around this time. Can play music.
Right, all
I'm gonna be the responsible one here, and Amaranth looks over at Alveron as he's studying his eyes, and in her most reassuring voice, they're really very pretty, sir.
Utter bemused. Like, this is just laughter. Just laugh, like a full, like, you know when that tension goes out of your chest and you can finally laugh at something after something ridiculous happens after one of the worst traumas you've been through. Like, just one of those. And the tension goes out of Alveron's shoulders. And his eyes actually start to fade a little bit and come back to their normal color. And I know that son of a bitch. I know that Fair is no longer with us, but I am going to send to the kitchens for something for us now. And I would be grateful if you would dine with me. Miss Fane, if you have any more details to share over dinner, I would be most appreciative.
She nods and says, this is most of the information that I know, but I would be happy to work through the details with you. I know it's a lot to take in all at once.
And then if it's all right with y'all narratively, just spend kind of the rest of the night. We go over dinner and plenty of rum, but just kind of trying to talk through this and understand. Before I go to bed, Andrew, that night, I go up on deck and I have one of the lower enlisted on the ship bring up a fresh pail of salt water. And I take it to my cabin, set it down. You know, it's not over full, so it's not spilling in the wake of the ship, but it is a fresh pail. And I take off the stopper that's around my neck of salt water that I always keep. Drink, fill, and recap. And then, in much the way that a tea ceremony in some cultures can be a full ceremony fully done, but sometimes it is just the pouring of tea. Sometimes it is the full ceremony. Alveron shaves his beard and shaves his head with the salt water. And there's a book of Similus, and he goes to the passage that is the prayer of first sales, which is the prayer that is spoken over a priest, or the prayer that is spoken by a priest over a sailor who is about to go on his first voyage. And he reflects back on when this prayer was spoken over him the first time, and he allows himself to speak that prayer over himself as he shaves.
Is he shaving like bare skinned at this point?
All the way down and top of the head as well.
Got it.
And says that prayer, and I'm sorry, this changes the character art, but it makes so much sense.
No, that's okay.
I mean, you already have white hair from the Elkar belt. So
Yeah.
Now it's
Fair.
And
But yeah,
like,
that is...
I changed my character art. Like, I immediately, after I got this character art, switched to new armor.
It's fine. Yeah.
No, but he shaves his head and opens the port wall. He has the new seawater from this, dumps the hair and old water out into the ocean, out the port wall, and goes to bed and dreams of clear skies.
All right. Jumping back over to the others. So the three of you, meet up with Medea and kind of get that sorted. Galway is probably more than happy to kind of direct the order in Medea's absence. So you want to do a couple things for the research. You can make me an investigation roll. So that would be
Can I
Will
help out?
leading, but yeah, you can help out.
Yeah.
25. Okay. And so, what were all the things you wanted to know about again?
So I wanted to know about the teleporting ship primarily, and then I suspect I didn't have to look into Alveron because the day that I sent that sending, instead Alveron had been given the information by Morgan, so maybe was not quite so freaked out about it. But yeah, mainly the teleporting ship.
Okay. So looking into this thing, you kind of visit by the Temple of Similus to see if they have any books. You of course visit the library of the Temple of Alamein, and you have both the Suthana's own private collection of books and Melfindian's collection of books. You have several sources to go off of. In quick succession, looking about, trying to find this information. So there are, a incredibly powerful caster might be able to do this. It's not conceptually that different than teleporting a bunch of people. It's just a lot more intensive. You don't know the distances involved or anything like that. So, like if they were teleporting a whole ship like 10 feet, a lesser or less powerful spellcaster might be able to do, because it's not that far, even though it is a sizable thing. Teleporting it across the world would probably be pretty much impossible for anything less than like a demigod. But an archmage might be able to, with enough effort, especially if the ship were modified to somehow like contain runic markings to make that easier, might be able to do it like within several thousand feet. But you suspect that this is done by an artifact. You do read some books about an artifact of Similus. It's supposed to be an anchor that is heavily enchanted, and basically it allows the ship to teleport back to wherever that anchor is. Above it, of course, on the sea. So it certainly could be something like that. This is, of course, a very, very powerful artifact to be able to move the ship at such a distance at such a speed.
Do you make a history check for the artifact?
Sorry, what was that?
Or do we make a history check to see if we can find anything about an artifact like this?
No, this is what the investigation check is for. Like you
Okay,
have
okay.
this information from the book. You can make a history check to maybe see if you remember anything about it, but it's probably going to be pretty hard.
I will make a history check about it from Will's time as a sailor.
I'll give advantage. Yeah.
I think I rolled a 20, but I
don't
also
think you need it.
don't
Okay.
get advantage because of the fact that it's like very much Will like searching through stuff from her past.
Okay.
Will, you do remember in the Lemanian seas as you traveled an old sailor's tale about this anchor. It was called the Coral Anchor, or sometimes the Anchor of Similus. It's said to, when placed on the seabed, look almost just like a small bed of coral. It doesn't even look like an anchor. So unless somebody knows where to look for it, you would basically never be able to find it. As if it were placed in the sea, anyways. There's stories about people having hunted for this. It's not only like a powerful magic item, but obviously there's a huge religious significance to such a thing. It supposedly was made by Similus for an ancient sailor whose name has long since been forgotten. But there are stories occasionally of people finding and using this thing, being guided to it by Similus. The last story you remember, or the last time you remember chronologically, somebody supposedly having this thing was a few hundred years ago. Supposedly there was a devotee of Similus, a ship captain, who was guided to this thing and used it, not really for any grand purpose or anything like that, but it enabled them to never have to worry about pirates or anything like that. And supposedly they hit it again after they died, leaving this secret, but telling a few people clues as to where its location might be. So occasionally in the few hundred years, you've heard stories about people trying to find it again by looking for these clues. You maybe even remember some of the riddles and rhymes surrounding this. So that's what you know about the anchor from critting on that roll.
Give me a second. I want to check a thing. Will has like a weird brain plan happening.
You would also know.
I 16 spell scroll, by the way. That's why this is taking a little time.
That's okay. You would also know that it has to be attuned to the ship through like a complex ritual, which you probably know some of the details of, given that you again roll the natural
20. Yeah. I think Will kind of explains to the others this historical information about the anchor in general, and then writes a relatively quick but very detailed note to the Suthana, basically asking the Suthana if they have, firstly, in their employ, someone capable of casting a divination spell that would reveal the location of that anchor to the Suthana. Secondly, if that they did have that, could they send a fleet to check if the Blackened Skies was there? And thirdly, could they recover that anchor and place it on land and add it to the treasury of Telanfagon? Because if they can't teleport to it because it's on land, that removes it, and like the Suthana will gain an incredibly powerful artifact that they could put on their like flagship.
So,
but I don't
yeah
know spell wise, because I like the spells that Will knows about. Clairvoyance maybe works, but probably not, because it's a location familiar to you, or in an obvious location. And scrying is a person. So, yeah. So I'm basically like, hey, Suthana, there maybe is a thing over here you can deal with. If you can find this, then you can take an incredibly powerful magical artifact and help us out slightly at the same time.
They would probably say to you, they can try, like, they don't have any casters or know of a spell that would be able to locate such an object, without
locate object.
Yeah, especially without having like, something related to it or something like that. They could use divination, the spell divination, to try to locate it that way, but that's obviously like a big process. And they also, you should say you would probably know this as well, but there's no guarantee that the object isn't like shielded from divination spells as well.
Yeah. Mm.
But they're happy to try to scry on it or scry on the Blackened Skies.
I mean, squaring on the Blackened Skies would not hurt. But yeah, other than that, with the anchor information, we can't think of anything else to do with that makes it very problematic for the Blackened Skies. But yeah, we'll take a free scrying.
Okay. The Suzanne has one of their spellcasters conduct a scrying spell. They'll probably try to scry on the captain unless you would prefer another target.
I think Will probably doesn't know any other targets by name.
Okay.
Because Alveron, I don't think, would have really gone through that in 25 words each time.
Would you be in the room while this is happening?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. You go to the palace and meet with the Suthana. They have a kind of reflecting silver pool that they use to scry out of. With them is an attendant dressed in robes, an Elcar man who you haven't seen before, but like has the bearing of a wizard of some kind of artist. Probably from Sarsarnid or somewhere like that. He begins to intone the words. It takes a while to cast. But after 10 minutes or so, focuses on this thing and looks in. Yes, I see this map. Human. He seems to be laughing. There are people around him. I think he might be giving a speech. And then his eyes go wide a little bit. He's looking at me. I think he can see the scrying sensor. His eyes are glowing. I lost the connection. I saw his eyes flash bright green, a vermilion before it faded. I'm sorry.
Well, at least firstly, we know that he's not protected from it. He can just deal with it once he's aware of it. And
vermilion is not the correct
didn't
color. I think you have a different color, but doesn't matter.
I was ferociously Googling.
No.
Also, when you Google vermilion, the first thing that comes out is a cake. Is anyone?
Okay. Yeah. Well, at least he couldn't do anything more significant to you through the scrying, but
Yes, well, it is just the sensor. So, if he could affect me through a scry spell, I would not go after such a man.
yes, that would have been a vastly different problem, I think. But I thank you anyway. I think Will's thinking about it and says, suppose we'll just wait till Alveron returns, and I think that it's likely that the Blackened Skies will make itself known anyway.
Chartreuse was the color I was thinking. Different, really long. Yes, of course. If you need any other assistance, I serve at the Suthana's pleasure. He will leave, you having gained this new information. Is there anything else that you wanted to do? This has probably taken the better part of 2 days. Yeah. I don't know. Was there anything anybody else wanted to do? Anybody you wanted to talk to, ask for help, anything like that? No. Okay. Final call has gone out. On the third day, having made good weather, Alveron, you come into the bay where Talanfagon lays. You can see the port, much as you left it, shining in the noonday sun. It would be nice, the warm air on your skin, if not for the deadly reason that you have had to return, potentially. Anyway. The others are waiting for you as the Pale Dawn docks at the Suthana's own boardwalk. Will, Uba, and Sulveran, and Medea, everybody else. You all can see Alveron as the gangplank is thrown down, standing, looking a bit different since you last left him. His hair completely gone, as well as any stubble that he might have been growing.
Well, Mr. Uba, that's really not a strong look for Alveron.
Uba whispers back, do you think he got hit with some sort of fireball and it burned his hair off?
There is a disease that causes you to lose all your hair. Perhaps he contracted that on the sea.
Uba nods extremely gravely.
There's no cure, probably. This will be his life now.
Alveron, you see them clearly joking about you.
Like waves.
Uba was not joking. Uba is actually genuinely concerned that Alveron now has some sort of disease that made him lose his hair.
Yeah, you don't know how fleshies work. Like, this is just weird.
Maybe you get one hair ever. Like, each hair only exists once. Uba doesn't know.
Yeah. Maybe he's molting.
Sorry, wasn't ready for that. Marisa, it's not fair that you mute yourself so much because we miss out on your laugh whenever you hear me snort like a pig. But admittedly, Alveron, as soon as once I know that my ship is safe in port and that, I don't need to worry about my ship being pillaged or whatever else, I see everyone and the game plan comes down. I've already given instructions to Lila. Keep control of the sailors until I come back. I have an errand to attend to. I will be back shortly.
Only a little bit of drinking.
Allow them a little bit of liberty. Set up 3 shifts of watches. Make sure that people are back before their liberty ends. So essentially, like, a third of the crew is on liberty at a time.
All right.
But they need to be back before their relief can go on liberty. Allow them that opportunity. And a little bit of the prize money I also set aside for you to hire extra carpenters, just to assist our ship's carpenter. Not that they need help, but just to give it to them so that they have a little bit more relaxation time.
I'll make sure it deliver it in those exact words, Captain.
Exactly. You get my intent. So that is a thing. And so for everyone here, party-wise, if you're all waiting by the docks, Alveron looks very different. Beard, shape, but as he steps onto the gangplank, his eyes start to light up again. As he comes down, he acknowledges you, walks past you and says, I'm going to the Temple of Similus. Walk with me, please. And it's not framed really as a question.
Can I make a religion check on what's going on with him?
Sure.
Okay.
On Arcana check for the 17th time on Alveron.
You've always failed. You've never succeeded on this.
Has Will told us about, like, all the stuff that
Oh
Alveron
my
told us?
god!
2 nat 20s in a row.
Yeah, Andrew,
Then Will is
Will
the
has-
last one to know about this with a nat 20, though.
Will has been keeping everybody basically just repeating every sending that they get back from Alveron.
Okay.
With your natural 20, in one of the books that you were reading while researching the anchor, you did come across an entry about the Sea Touched. Much as Morgan explained, basically that is the folklore as they've put it. The one thing that they left out, notably, is that on their death, they are taken to be judged by Similus. But it said that a messenger of Similus comes down specifically to take them up. And some say that it is a particular ship. Some call it the Bonnie Bale. Amongst the Elcar, it is known as Santadi Santim, which roughly translates to the Bewitching Storm. But cultures have different names for it. It is the ghost ship piloted by the dead, the fairies' souls, for the god of the sea.
It's like a moment in this Alveron just stalking past and just saying, "Hey, follow me," without an enormous amount of politeness. Where Will's like, "Oh, it's that thing." Every time I've looked at Alveron, I've discarded that thing because it's so stupid and rare, and of course it's not that thing. But now it's just clear that it's that thing. And moments to Uber and Sulveran, and probably Medea, whoever is still shocked at Alveron just stalking past us, is saying, maybe the source of his politeness was his hair. But then we'll follow, obviously.
Alveron just walks straight through towards the temple district. If anyone attempts to engage him in conversation, feel free if there's anything you want to say. But otherwise, he doesn't intend to engage anyone in conversation unless they engage him or they want to talk to him about something. If you're all with him, there is a level of comfort, and this is what is supposed to happen. I don't know how people react to this guy walking, this very obviously freshly shaved person walking through the city with glowing green eyes.
Mm-hmm.
But
people move out of your way, but Talfgon is one of the cities of magic. Who knows what weird shit that you can do. But it's not so unusual that they're going to call the guards or anything like that.
I gotcha.
Walk.
Go ahead.
Sorry. I was going to say, as we walk, Will launches into a story of Sulveran's parents, but told through common and in a way that is intentionally you're meant to think that there's only two of them, but then it becomes increasingly obvious during the story that there can't be only two of them. To really make sure that the other three don't just Alveron clearly has a thing to be doing, and Will is aware of that. And it's I don't think Alveron, this is not question time for Alveron. I'll tell this story about Sulveran's parents to stop questions.
Medea is increasingly confused at how four parents works biologically, and they haven't considered there's an adoption thing going on or marriage. They're just wondering how that happens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a time that Will says four parents, and it sounds like Will means ancestors, but it's saying it weird. It's just an intentionally awkward story to distract from Alveron's clear.
It almost sounds like at times it's two people that have two different names, and there's always reference to and he is the husband of so and so, and she is the wife of so and so. But there's only two of them. What did?
And four parents is occasionally it's for his parents.
Yeah, and Will also uses the word couple to describe any combination of the four of them because it's two people.
I think Medea has the systems of operations maps, but it's with pronouns going on here.
PEMDAS, but it's gendered.
Sulveran is
Gen
so
boss.
exceedingly entertained by this. He's like mentally taking notes on how to deliver the story in common because it's not like he ever had a chance for the story to like really everybody knew it.
Yeah. And it wouldn't work in Gathite because there's distinct terms for like too many things.
Yeah.
Medea
So-
crosses like a number somewhere and it's like 3.5 parents, 2.5 parents. Like there's like a rounding error somewhere. They're like staring at Alveron like in a hurry.
Amidst this story, you eventually arrive at the Temple to Similus, near the water. Not too far of a walk. It maybe takes you 30 minutes or so to get there. Finding it much the same as you had left it before you had gone out on this journey. Entering in, you find it is, it's the middle of the day. It's not really the time when ships are going out, so it's fairly empty-ish. There's a couple people. There's obviously the clerics, and you see Nina. Notice you, Alveron, as you walk in.
I walk in. So, is there a source of salt water inside the temple proper? Is there like deep water pools? Like I'm imagining, like along the shore when you can get those kind of deep pools of water. Is that a normal part of the temple?
It depends on the temple. This one in particular has like it's like partially on a pier actually. So there's just an open spot at the one end where there's a drop off towards water.
Gotcha. I walk to that. I call out with a voice of command. I'm looking at the notes, but I want to make sure I pronounce it. Nanya?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
I call out to Nanya with that voice of command. Just Nanya! As I am taking off my clothes and walking towards the pier. Has the color or glint of my eye changed once I've walked into the temple, Andrew?
If anything, it's intensified, and there's almost a wave to it, almost like the crashing of the cresting water is glinting in your eyes.
I continue walking towards the pier. If Nanya catches up to me, I only say, I need answers. I fully strip. I am completely bare as I walk towards the pier. And
Alveron, what are you? Okay.
And just into the water. I am not resurfacing until I get an answer.
She like this cleric who you guys I don't think I've ever met before, like looks at you having walked in with Alveron, like, what is going on? What is happening? I am not prepared for this.
I can answer some of these questions while Alveron, I suppose, drowns. I don't really know his intention, but
should I jump in to grab him if he's drowning? Before
I don't see.
I'm
any
diving
bubbles.
deep.
I think
swimming
probably
straight down.
he understands what he's doing. Probably he seems to be of what the tales call sea touched. Means that like you did a service to Similus, or you were taken by the sea, and Similus decided to give you a reprieve. You become like reincarnated. Then eventually, a giant ship will come and claim you when it takes you back to Similus's halls. And I think Will repeats the Elkara name that I didn't write down to Nanya.
What?
Yeah, Will kind of shrugs, like, I've given you the information. Like, I don't.
I'll do this.
Sulveran
Is anybody else in this beyond knowing that?
Sulveran very quietly digs in his bag, comes up with a bottle of wine that someone or somebody has given him in the past to tote along. I think it was Medea. And he just very gravely cracks it open and offers it, just in general, to whoever needs it. And he's just like still like looking. So this is not normal in your culture either. Then I take it.
Well, sometimes people bathe in the water. We do that, but you're not supposed to try to drown yourself. And usually, there's a bit more ceremony. You don't just walk in and strip naked and jump into this pool.
When that happens, you usually call the guards. It's a sign of something.
Well, he's not hurting anybody, and
How deep is the pool? That's the other question.
it goes into the water, like into the ocean. And
Okay.
you are where this is located is a sheer drop. You can go swim down about 100 feet if you would like to. Before
I'm
you
not
hit the
stop,
sand.
Andrew. I'm not stopping.
I
I
think
am.
We
Sure.
kind of
Will-
see Alveron beneath the water, the light shimmering through from the side because the top is occluded by the building. Just swimming down.
Medea's pulling up their hood just in case they have to go after Alveron.
I think that Uba has like run over to the edge of the pool and is genuinely concerned and tries to yell to Alveron that you can't swim away from your problems, but is concerned Alveron can't hear this. So Uba is yelling that directly into the water. Their snout is in the water, and Uba is trying to yell to Alveron.
Will had forgotten
What's your con modifier, by the way, Alveron?
Mine is +2.
Will had
Okay.
forgotten what it was like to travel with these idiots, and it's been like 5 days, and it's like, man, this is a lot, and just goes and kneels in front of the altar to Similus and pulls out like her captain's hat and says like the prayer of captains, and is just like, I will just pray in this temple, I guess, while chaos happens behind me.
Go ahead
Yeah,
and make a
just
religion
and by the
check.
way, while that's happening, I do want to be like clear. Alveron's not trying to kill himself. Alveron
Right.
is looking for answers, and this is Alveron throwing himself to the deep, looking for truth, looking for because this has been something that he's grappled with since that first encounter when there was something he didn't understand about himself, and it's only gotten greater. And now that he has a touch of the truth, Alveron doesn't know what to do besides man overboard and throw himself into the only thing he's ever trusted, which is the sea, before he met his friends.
Mhm.
And he has his friends with him above the ocean, ready for him, but this is the place he needs to dive to find truth. And that's what's motivating him. He's not trying to kill himself. This is not self-harm. This is, you were the first thing I trusted, and you were what was supposed to keep me safe, but you didn't. And the things that made me distrust people took me away from you. Now I found people I can trust, and I am safe on land. Am I still safe at sea? The only way I know to check that is to dive into you and find truth at the bottom or find release. That's what Alveron is going for.
Up above.
Sounds like he's making an intimidation or persuasion check on
No.
the god of the sea themselves.
No roll here. Up above, you all Will obviously begins to intone some prayer. You can make a religion check if you like. But Nanya is kind of standing at the edge. Like they know about how long a normal person can hold their breath. They're waiting a little bit, like maybe he's just going to come up. 30 seconds pass, which is not that long. Like Alveron can hold his breath for 3 minutes. According to the rules. And you guys are all kind of like around. Medea, you're also praying.
Yes, Medea is praying, but they're making like a prayer to whoever will listen. Like they're just asking in general, like, will my friend be okay? I do not want to let them die here.
Okay. Both of you are praying. Will speaking the prayers of Similus, Medea just calling out to anybody. Up above, it grows silent, but for the mutterings under the breath of those praying. Nynya as well is intoning prayers to Similus as they are preparing themselves to have to jump and potentially wrest Alveron out of the water. But we cut back down to below. Alveron, you have reached the bottom. You're having to occasionally like push yourself to keep yourself downwards. You can feel the cool, cold at this depth water kind of washing over you, though it might burn someone else. You open your eyes and you find that it doesn't bother you that much. It never really did, as you're thinking about it. The salt water, like it did everyone else. You look about. You can see off in the distance a little bit, not too far though, as the water does occlude all things beyond a certain range. A couple of fish swim by casually. Some kelp floats nearby. And you're kind of thinking, 30 seconds to you feels like 30 minutes, like an eternity. And a minute passes by that, with you sitting there kind of looking out. You feel this anger and frustration and confusion and all these emotions, which you never really wanted to feel. You never wanted to deal with this. You thought you were going to be a cleric, and you kind of had a plan, a sort of life that you were going to lead, and that was taken from you. And you found a sort of a new one, but that past keeps coming back, keeps trying to drag you in like a current, pulling you into the undertow. After a minute and a half, when this is the point where Nynya says to the others, he can't have more than 2 minutes left at most.
1, 2.
Should someone go after him?
Uba
I will
holds up.
try. I think I want to give him a bit longer.
All right, I've got something that can let me breathe down there if it helps. But
Uba will hand you their gloves of swimming and climbing and say, this would help me if I were in a situation where I was drowning and needed help, but I don't know how to swim well, and hands them to you.
I think Will, over her shoulder, she's still like kneeling and praying the same prayer and says, if it becomes necessary, I can just, put him down there and then bring him back if he's willing. If he's not willing, there's other problems with anybody going down.
As this conversation is happening, Alveron, you slowly start to feel a little bit calmer as you're just looking out in the water. Something about it has always been very peaceful to you. But it's almost like you want to fight against it this time. You don't want to let it calm you down. You're holding in your breath. A couple more bubbles float on by as you're using up the last bit of reserves before your lungs start to get that burning feeling from just not having more air. You hear kind of almost vibrating throughout the whole body of water and up into yourself. It's not so much like words like you would speak to another person, but they do ring in your head, this thumping sound. And you just hear breathe. Alveron, you kind of think for a moment before you open your mouth, and the water rushes in momentarily, but you don't find yourself drowning. You let it out, and you can feel yourself breathing through the water. And you feel like this voice has answered you back, and is waiting for you to say something else. If you choose to do so.
Alveron is sitting at the bottom of the ocean. I'm guessing there's just kind of enough dappling of light to kind of barely see around. You said what, we're 100 feet down?
100 feet down, yeah. You can see surprisingly well even at this depth for a human person.
Alveron, why am I still here? Have I been ungrateful?
There's a moment where you're kind of waiting. You speak these words out through the water, and they're muffled even to you as you say them. But you know the words have gone out to whatever entity, whether Similus or something else, had just spoken you, just willed you to breathe the water in. And they say to you, in this same kind of reverberating manner, the ocean is your home, but it will not fight for you. Only you can fight for you. You have been given a chance already. You should take it. You have gifts, and I grant you now another. The gift. Breath. The foe which you face now is detestable, but it is you who must face it. I have given you what aid I can.
Alveron just kind of sits there and floats for a moment. Salt water still stinging freshly shorn parts of him. And I think in a moment of boldness, or what he knows is probably bold, when I sink the Blackened Skies, do not be harsh to the ones like me who were conscripted to her. Remember the little boys who could have been more. And remember that they needed your redemption rather than the chance to be something. And Alveron starts swimming up.
You feel a sense of acknowledgement in these words, and a greater understanding, perhaps, even. You find yourself swimming faster than you normally are capable of. Like the water is just being cut through much more quicker than you could ever beforehand. You finally, after about 2.5 minutes, Nanya is like, has the things off, is like, all right, diving in, and like as they go to make that jump, they half stumble as Alveron surfaces. You like just spit out all this seawater, but all of you can see, despite him like pushing it out of his lungs, he's not choking. He's just like emptying it out of himself.
I think Sulveran just offers him it's the like the underlayer that he would have used beneath his furs, and he just like offers it to him as a towel without saying a word.
I climb out up onto the pier. I'm not looking at Nanya. Just past them. You have the towel. I just wrap it around myself, head first, and just look at all of you. I owe you all a ration of rum. And I need to ask you a favor. And then ties the towel around himself and starts walking towards his clothes.
They're kind of strewn about in a line because you were like ripping them off as you were walking. So slowly you start to pick them up, and Nanya's like, anybody want wine?
Is it
Point at her
pizza?
as I pick up my breachers. Point at her and just, and you, priestess! Did you know?
Sorry, I don't want to cut the moment. Something about that was like, did you rub my lamp? Are you? That's just what I thought of in the moment. I was rubbing
It
lamps.
was.
Did I know that you were going to rush in here and attempt to drown yourself? No. What are you saying?
Left hand crackles with electricity. The piece of clothing that was 15 feet away from me, I'm going to go with it was my jerkin,
Sure.
just jumps into my hands. Eyes go bright green. Did you know?
I know only that you, I thought, were a friend, a sailor. Nice one, I suppose.
That Alveron definitely deflates a little bit, and that anger, that hurt kind of goes out a little bit. What's the audience we're dealing with right now? Like, is it
So
a
it's-
couple of adherents, but mostly staff?
It's your companions, Nanya, two other clerics, one of which is higher rank than Nanya. The other one is like an acolyte, very low level. There was like two other sailors in the room who were kind of like watching. At the door, there was like a bunch of people who've come in because one of the sailors like walked out to the door, and while this was going on, was yelling like, "There's this man, and he's trying to drown himself in the temple to Similus. Everybody come!" So there's like a small group of people like, he didn't die.
Just I guess walk to Nanya with that, with a bunch of clothes in my hands. I'm still naked. I'm realizing this, and I kind of become aware of this as I'm walking towards Nanya. And just kind of it's like, hold on, how do I want to do this? Like I have the clothes in my hand as I'm walking. Just right, and realize that I should be covering some parts of myself if I'm in a church. And
Your ash is
like,
showing.
Oh, the ass is the eye into the soul. It's fine. Wait, sorry, that's a different religion. Basically killed Marisa right there.
Parador worshippers are
Basically killed
peculiar.
Marisa.
What happened?
While this is going on, Sulveran is like whatever, and he just like walks to the doorway and just stands there looking out at the people, just kind of blocking with his bulk.
Make an intimidation check, even if that's not what you're intending to do.
Nice.
Okay. Yeah, most of the crowd's like, okay. Big person in the doorway. It's my cue to leave. However, some people find themselves trapped inside now.
with Nanya, I start to dress myself naughty bits first.
As one
And
does.
get that as one
As
does.
opposed to last. Which is
As
like
opposed
He
to
starts with the shirt
Keeping
and the
the
jacket.
song
I just
uncovered.
no. Puts on glasses first, then shirt, then jacket, then socks. No. Naughty bits first. But just not even really considering it, honestly. Honestly, not even really considering it. Begins to get dressed. Eyes, especially as I've gotten closer to the pool. You didn't know I had unfinished business with Similus when I came into this temple last time.
I know that you, or what you told me, you were interested. A worshipper. God did not speak to me and say that I should harm you or do something or cast you out. The gods don't speak to most people, not even clerics. Oh, that's right.
Will,
Sorry, the cameras are messed up.
I think Will has still had her eyes closed, finishing her last prayer this whole time, and kind of stands up and just says, interjecting into what Nanya's saying. Alveron, I don't think you really understand how rare what you have going on is. Have you ever seen a human with a foot coming out of their forehead? That's
Looked
less.
over at Will and just
Yep.
what?
That's less rare than what you are.
Alveron feels very self-conscious.
Maybe stop bullying the poor cleric. And
Richard
Will,
Nanya,
I said that with a
back at
laugh.
you.
Will says that as a captain.
Oh, interesting.
Hmm.
Okay. Looks at you, hears you. As you say that, some of the light drains out of Alveron's eyes. Not all of it, but enough of it that's like you can see the regular bluish behind them. Turns to Nanya. I'm sorry. This has been the most difficult voyage of my life, and that is saying something. Thank you for being ready to jump into the pool for me. It shouldn't ever be necessary. Looks back at Will, to Uba, Sulveran, to Medea. My friends, let's go to the Sulthanas. We have some things to talk about.
I agree. Also, if it matters, I can't really drown anymore. I point to the head. Oh, it was fine.
Also, an ocean would have to be so deep for me to drown in it.
But everyone back to the Sulthanas.
Nanya will give you a small, as you leave, a small pendant that looks like it's a blue gemstone. You're not sure exactly what kind. But it's like a rolling wave kind of cresting around. It's circular pendant. Just Next time, pray like the rest of us. Stay safe.
That was praying, joking, and
As we're sort of making our way to the Suthanas, Will like reaches into her bag of holding and pulls out this wax paper parcel. Medea also got one of these, but it's a wax paper parcel, and inside there's a it's like slightly misformed, like small round roll of bread with Keller's cursive attempt at cutting an A into the top of it, and she hands it to Alveron. I suspect you probably haven't been eating well.
What makes you say that?
Because mostly when people are drinking well, they forget to eat well.
As you guys are leaving, you hear somebody shouting in the distance, Alveron! Alveron! Oh. So he like stops midway. Callum is out of breath, running towards the temple. Someone said, bald man, drowning self.
Just walk up to Callum, grab them, and not drowned yet, my friend. What do you need?
I just need you not to die. I can't beat the Blackened Skies by myself.
I grab Callum in a full body embrace and just pull them into myself and just hold them there. I mean, I'll spend one of my spell slots. I know we're in downtime, but I'll still spend one of them and that feeling of salt water and salt air as you step out on a voyage just kind of comes over us and just, you won't do it alone. I promise. I hug them tight and then walk with us.
Are we aware that something magical has emanated from Alveron?
Yeah, it's visible. The salt in the air, the salt water almost crashes around them, and the ground is slightly dampened as it falls to the ground.
Will says to the other 3 spellcasters, it's always so weird when people get spells for the first time and understanding of how to use them.
It's very weird.
You guys head off, going towards the Suthana palace, now reconjoined as a group once more. Back on track, so to speak. This is not a bad place to end. How do people feel about stopping here?
Seems like a
I'm
natural
cool with
stopping
it.
point to me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
say that Uba though is like kind of lagging, not behind, but Uba seems to be a little bit scared of Alveron now.
Oh boy.
He is deeply confused, but fine with this.
The list of things that Uber is scared of just increases every episode.
Yeah.
Despite being the clear, most like just notably heroic one of us.
Uba
just
just
doing
has
it
severe
to be-
anxiety.
Yeah.
It's like a chihuahua.
All right.
I think Will drops back and like walks with Uber, and they like talk reassuringly.
I think the last image that we see is the camera, like, far away as you all kind of are walking side by side. The Ruby Palace, just off to the left, high above in the distance. And that's where we're going to end this episode. Thanks everybody for coming. Really fun. I can't wait to get back to this next week. I'm excited because everybody's going to meet the captain. Probably. Maybe we'll do other stuff, but it's going to be interesting. this Sunday, hopefully, we will be doing the first of our one-shots. The Advent of Calamity mini campaigns are going to be beginning. Jack and Charlie are going to be there, as well as some new faces. I'm very excited for that as well. I hope you all can come out. It's going to be a little bit later than our normal time, I think 15 minutes to half hour, but we'll try to be on as soon as we can. Thank you all for coming, and see you next time.